Yes. And I am live. Andreas, go inside, please.
Gives him flexibility to go in a variety of directions, including receiver, offensive tackle, and defense. With pick 46 in the second round and 96 in the third round, and 7 picks on day 3 tomorrow, that's a lot of capital for Bill Belichick to do what he loves on draft day, to wheel and deal. Reed, back to you in Cleveland. The news of the day came from me.
Yes, I'm live, by the way. Yeah, he charged, but we're gonna give him 100.
No, 100. Where's your
Nobody's able to see, or people could see if they're on my actual account.
Where's your camera? I mean, where's your video?
I'm trying to right here. Hold on.
All right, I'm gonna head on home. I'll see you all. So 8 o'clock in the morning.
Can you keep Andres out?
I know.
Here, look,
What's this for that?
live on YouTube.
Okay. Hi. Guys. Can't really see your eyes. There you can. Get it, make it big real quick. I want to see this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Get your hat in there. Andreas, ven acá.
You. You.
I had to do it. I had to do it.
You got the most miserable Jets fan. I love it.
I
I
had to do it.
absolutely love it. It's perfect.
But see, this is where, so like now I'm in the, like, I'll call it like the manic phase. Like, cause I think this kid is going to be like, you know, becoming a Joe Namath.
Son,
But I don't know, like he sounded different, right? Don't you think he talks different?
Yeah, I think that he has a lot of confidence. The way he just addressed, like it was like when Sam got drafted, I didn't have any problem with what Sam said, but Sam sounded so robotic and so like
Because he had
I
to
don't
say
know.
it.
Yeah,
Like he had to
exactly.
say it. Like I'm supposed to. This is what I'm supposed to say. So I'm gonna.
And when
say it.
when Zach got on, he just sounded very, I don't know, just authentic, more authentic. I'm not saying he was lying or he wasn't lying or whatever. It just, that's how it felt to me, you know?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. It's authentic, right?
Yeah.
He meant what he was saying. Whereas, like even hearing Sam in the huddle was like uncomfortable, right? You know, like it wasn't. I don't know. Good luck with Carol. I mean, in Carolina.
And the thing is, Sam, the thing about the problem I ever had with Sam is that he never, like, he's a leader, but he didn't come across to me as like one of those alpha leaders. You know what I'm saying? Like he did what he had to do, but he was a quiet kid. He's a good kid. I love Sam. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem with Sam Darnold at all as a human being. And I think he's a great kid, and I think that he's gonna hopefully have success, but he wasn't like an alpha cat.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
that's what I was as I was texting my buddy. I was like, he's a, you know, rah, let's go guys, you know, of course being said at you know, with an inside voice, you know, like he was just always like.
I love how the bottom of Milano's feed says most miserable Jets fan.
I know. I was just telling him that. I said that's the dopest
greatest
ever. It's the dopest. It's the greatest.
Does it say Wookie? Does it say Wookie for me?
It does say Wookie for you.
Oh, okay, good.
It does.
Yeah, I just have to make sure I change it before my Zoom calls on Monday.
We're live. I haven't shared the feed yet. I sent it to you guys, so whoever you want to send it to, just take that feed, copy it, and send it to whoever so they can watch.
I gotta be mindful of this live shit tonight because I'm drinking beers. I'm gonna be burning weed.
Yeah, no, yeah, I gotta. So
Relax,
I hit my mighty
son, relax.
Before. Yeah. So with the, I don't know, man. I think we finally have like management, right? Like we're that lineman's the real deal. Huh? I mean, I didn't know anything about him before the draft.
Oh, it was tremendous. It was tremendous. That what I loved about and we're going to talk about it, but that pick was just absolutely sensational.
Do you think it gave up too much or no?
No, because all they did is they gave up. Essentially, what they did is swap the third and a fourth round pick, right?
Okay.
They swapped the third and the fourth, and they gave up a third. That's what they did.
So you really gave up one pick then.
So he gave up about.
Which pick you guys talking about again?
The moving up to 14.
Oh, that's right. Who'd you guys scoop again? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to catch up on everything.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Nice. That's the kid out of USC, right?
That's right.
But they were saying he's arguably the second best lineman in the draft. So.
Yep. So we're gonna find out here in a second. The moment we have Keith on, and then we start, I'm gonna start sharing this on Facebook, sharing it around, and
I'll put it.
That's how we're live, but you know, unless when you share it and you post it on all the sites, that's when people can see.
I can't believe Sewell's only 20 years old.
Hold on a second.
Crushing guys. Those highlights to him, dude.
Somebody said that this is as close to a short. I forget who it was. They remained anonymous, but they said one NFL coach or a part of a coaching staff said this is as close to a surefire Hall of Famer in a draft as he's ever seen.
Dude, he would be
Kid's
on
20.
somebody and then like just feel them behind him and turn around and crush somebody else. Like it was unbelievable.
Oh. I keep forgetting the kid's name from Northwestern though that went after school. Andrew Thomas? No, that was
No,
that's
it was
not
last year.
No, that's the one that we got when I wanted Gettleman to take fucking Becton. No, we get Andrew Thomas, the most technically sound offensive lineman. Shut the up, Gettleman. How's that working out for us now, Dave? Could have had what's his face, Becton, planet mover. No, we'll go with the most technically sound. Get out of here. Give me a guy that can move people. We can work on technique.
So all in on Daniel Jones. I mean, you guys should have taken Justin Fields, right?
I don't know.
I still don't understand. I still don't understand.
I don't think we would have taken Justin Fields because I think Gettleman sold on Daniel Jones, whether Giant fans are or not. I mean, it's not up to us, obviously.
It's his entire
But that trade, the reason why I got so pissed off with that trade is because we take Tony, and I'm going to myself, you literally could, if we did nothing, you have the greatest linebacker supposedly coming out of college ever, PFF ever. That's your linebacker for the next 15 years, barring injury.
Nah, you didn't need him.
No, we don't need linebackers that can cover tight ends. No, then we don't take. Oh God. Oh.
Dan Poley sounds like he's underwater.
Oh boy.
Does it sound like I'm underwater here?
No, getting better.
I'll see you guys later. I don't want to be part of this coronation of Zach Wilson yet.
Well, hey, listen, it's all right. You could. Our quarterback's not just going to manage games into losing by 4.
Now different. He's just a kid. You know what? I got to root for the kid.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, son.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. Continue. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt all you.
I'll see you. He doesn't sound different. I'm going to get off and watch the Raiders trade up and get a linebacker, and I'm going to be pumped about it. But he doesn't sound different. He's just a kid. He's a good kid from BYU. Same as Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold just didn't work out. This kid hopefully has a lot more talent.
Sound a little jealous.
And he's not working with Adam Gase. Not that Gase was the entire problem.
A little jealous.
Sounds a little jealous.
Happy for you guys. I like the kid. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
What's the over and under tonight on how many times Greeny tells people were vaccinated?
Yeah, that's 20.
It was so funny how often they reinforced that last night. It was so important for the NFL to know. To have I should say. Everyone you saw is vaccinated. No liability
got the
here.
card.
And they're having what's-her-face do the interviews from 6 feet away. Meanwhile, these dudes are walking up, hugging Goodell. They're walking by people.
Mike, my wifey said the link for us.
I
know it says but it's that's the pro one that I can do all this. The other one isn't there, so we can have multiple people and stuff.
Oh, I don't give it. It doesn't make a fucking difference. People will click on it, and it is what it is.
Guys, let me ask you a question. Can you hear my AC in the background?
No.
No, you're good, dude.
No, okay, I gotta put on. I gotta put on gallery view.
How do I do that, Mike? Where do I go to put it on gallery view? You told
top right corner. Go to the top right corner and view.
Yeah, it's view and then gallery.
All right, 701. Are you on there? Are we already on?
We're already on. We're live, son. I'm sharing it right now.
Oh, I just came in. I could have said anything. I could have said anything just now. Holy shit. Wow. Okay, then.
Not Mike.
So no intro. I guess we just go, man. Welcome, everybody, to the first live edition of the Ain't Easy Being Green podcast. Round 2 of the NFL draft. We're just getting it together here. We've never done a live show before. Wookie looks like a gangster right now. Check the Wook out. First of all, just in case, we have a lot of bullshitting to do tonight if we're going to stretch this out. And Mike, the Jets have no 3rd-round picks as of now. So, hey, we might not have to go to 10 and do this marathon. We'll see how it goes. We'll just play it by ear here. I do want to welcome the most miserable Jet fan in the world, to the show. Mike Milano, thank you for joining us here at the top of the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. And of course, my co-host, the biggest Jet fan in the state of Texas, Michael Garris. How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, brother.
Feeling good? Feeling good?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And
Yes, sir.
last but definitely not least, you know him, you love him, the big stinking Wookiee, Nicholas Kronk.
What's going on, everybody? How you feeling tonight?
Here to provide us with the type of insight that only the Wookiee can do.
We try.
Do you know what I'm
Try
saying?
our best here.
And guys, now, like we said, man, normally we have some things we know we're going to talk about, and we just talk about them, and then we're out. But tonight, there's a variety of things we can get into, man, because we got to talk about a little bit more than the Jets, because a lot of different draft picks, a lot of guys went to teams maybe you wouldn't expect. Giants there, drafting Tony Wook, 20. We'll see what goes on there. I think the Raiders maybe took a little bit of a reach when it comes to what they did. But the Jets, though, Mike, the Jets didn't surprise anyone. Took Zach Wilson there at the top. I think we have Robert Salah kind of changing the culture here on the squad. You know, Joe Douglas obviously is kind of the captain of the ship, but bringing in Robert Salah was his idea. And the two of them together, Mike, I want to read off some names to you and the most miserable Jets fan. Maybe we could cheer him up slightly as we go into next season. Because Take a listen to this. Take a listen to this real quick. Now, I know we still have this draft to go. And some guys in the offseason do shake out from teams, right? A veteran, maybe they don't think it's up to snuff on one team, could shake out to us. You do never know. But take a listen to this. Now, we know what our talent was the last couple of years. Next year, okay, we're going to have Mekhi Becton on the line. We're going to have Eric Tucker. We're going to have Zach Wilson. We're going to have Denzel Mims. We're going to have Crowder. We're going to have Corey Davis. Now, just off the bat, McGovern's decent enough. And they're going to fill in some more holes here, hopefully, as this draft goes along. But just off the bat right there, I mean, that's more to be excited about than we were for a couple of years there with Gase. That's why you kind of feel for Sam a little bit. And then when it comes to the defense, I mean, guys, when we go through the Jets defense now, going into next year, you got Q, you got May, you got Lawson, you got Mosley. That's for top level players right there. Ashton Davis, Plasan Austin, Guidry, Rankins. They signed LaMarcus Joyner. So they've done a lot this offseason. PFF has an improvement index. Okay, an offseason improvement index. Now, they put this into play after free agency. Had nothing to do with the draft, okay? Just based off that, though, the Jets were ranked 10th. So 9 other teams they think improved a little bit more than the Jets did in the offseason. But that's a big leap, comparatively speaking, to some of our other offseasons, some of our other GMs. I don't remember a couple of years here where we've been as shrewd with draft picks and signings and letting guys go and bringing guys in. They get rid of Adams. They do all these different moves. It seems like Joe Douglas has us going in the right direction, Mike, starting with one Zach Wilson.
You already know I'm very excited about the young man. We did a whole show on him. I really think that we're going in the right direction. And then right after that, went and got the exact left guard offensive lineman that we wanted. Probably the best interior lineman in the entire draft. Has a meanness to him, has a toughness to him, along with Becton. That's going to be a left side anchor for the offensive line for hopefully years to come, like a Mangold and Brick, but even more beast mode.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you do. And here in the second round, we're about to start here in a few. We're going to see what Mr. Joe Douglas is going to do. Is he going to take a guy like Jenkins and complete the line essentially? Yeah. Or is he going to go defense? Because we have pretty much Nick Kronk back there covering receivers, or maybe not Nick. Maybe not Nick. Maybe Creams. Maybe Creams. Creams is about to join right now. Maybe because we got nobody. Nick, what I'm trying to say is we got no one back there.
Dwayne had 1,800 yards in one game, so you're set.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Sure. It wasn't even a Madden game. It was real life. Now, guys, I want to throw at you now. We're going to get into Zach Wilson. We'll get into Elijah Vera Tucker, but we have a pick coming up. So I think we should kind of talk about that, Mike, first.
Right.
Get into who we may take, some of that, some of the guys that might be possible for the Jets to take here. Mike, I've heard edge rusher, because you got Olajari there from Georgia out there. You got Basham Jr. You got a few other guys out there. I've heard maybe they go corner, Mike. I know you like Tyson Campbell. There's a couple other corners out there that are decent. Offensive line, Dickerson's out there. Jenkins is out there. Wyatt Davis is out there. A few other offensive linemen out there. And then also they could even go running back when it comes to Javonte Williams there at UNC. I think For me, I think the most likely pick is I think they're going to go edge rusher. I don't think they're going to go offense, but hey, I'd love if they went offense. And before we get into those things, I got to give Mike a little credit. Mike actually did pretty decent with his mock. Mocks are obviously a complete shit show. There was a couple trades. My mock was destroyed before we started. Mike did nail a couple. He nailed Devonta Smith. He nailed Mac Jones, a few other picks. Mike did pretty well. And when it comes to the way we thought the offensive lineman would play on Mike, we did pretty good. We thought that, Sewell will go first. Obviously, Slater was the second guy off the board. Elijah Vera Tucker was my second favorite offensive lineman in this draft when we did our show. Me and you were hoping the Jets would get him. You were hoping they would get him at 23. They actually moved up to 14 to have to get him, which is crazy, man. Jets went ahead and traded 2 third-round picks, number 66, number 86, to get the number 143 and move up to 14 there. But Elijah Vera Tucker shoring things up is great. But here at the top of the second, what are you looking for the Jets to do here?
I was thinking about it. What I would like to do is right now we moved up, lost. We gave up one of the thirds, and then the second third, essentially, we just traded for another fourth. So we just moved back a couple of spots. Personally, I see a bunch of players on there that I really, really like, and I wouldn't mind moving back maybe 10 spots and then getting an additional third-round pick. That would probably be my first want, is to kind of like skim and see if we can move back just a little bit and then still grab one of the guys we want. But if we got to stay, there's three guys that I'm really, really interested in. Jenkins, I'm interested in your boy JOK from Notre Dame, and I'm interested in Tyson Campbell. Those are the three, because JOK, he is perfect for the Robert Saleh defense.
Yeah,
play that weak side linebacker. And he was supposed to go in the mid round of the first round, and he's dropped all the way into the second, which is very surprising. He is not a player I expected to be here right now. So if they decide to take him because he's the highest on their board, perfect. If they decide to go Jenkins, you seriously ended up, pretty much solidifying the offensive line. And if you decide to go Tyson Campbell, which to me, like I said, was my second favorite corner, I like him even more than Asante Samuel Jr., who, by the way, or not Asante Samuel Jr., excuse me, what's his name? Not Asante Samuel, but who's the other guy? Patrick Surtain. I like him better than Patrick Surtain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Yes, I'm on a little bit of a delay, so if you get the pick before you, just shout it out, whoever gets it first here, okay, guys? Just so if anyone's actually tuned into this,
Goodell walked up with looks like a third of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he walked up with a whole squad of dudes.
Because he gets booed.
He just rolled deep.
What they should, what they should all have? Those little motorized carts they give old people. All those guys should have them because that stage is deep. And we got to keep this draft moving. So I don't want to see these old ass men walking out there again, taking 45 minutes. All right, I want to know what the picks are and keep it moving. Let's go.
It took a while last night too. It's like every pick was like, I was like, holy.
Now I do think Owusu's the best guy left on the out there, Mike. Owusu, Morig from TSU, the safety, is my number 2 guy. Elijah Moore is my number 3 guy. Barmore, defensive tackle from Alabama, is my number 4, and Ojulari there from Georgia is my number 5 guy still left on the board. We went through, me and Mike have a whole big board here, guys that we still like. Ojulari is tremendous. I think Marshall Jr., the wide receiver from LSU, someone's going to grip him up, Mike. He lasted the second round. Some people had him going in the first round. But there's a bunch of guys here that are left that had first round grades because there was a bunch of reaches there in that first round from teams. Not just the Raiders when Dan comes on here, which we're going to talk about with Leatherwood there. I don't know what that was about. What that draft was about.
Let's just wait till he comes on. We'll start.
Yeah, we won't say anything.
Going around. Let's just
because
wait.
Mike's favorite thing, as everyone knows,
the right guy, right? They just never seem to get the first round right. They're worse than us.
So
we know
what's up with the creams? I just see a name, Dwayne.
Yeah. Maybe he's ready to. He's just going to pop in at 7:20 or when he's scheduled to pop in. That could be what it is. He's just playing it by ear. But I do think there's some decent wide receivers out there. Rondale Moore from Purdue's out there too. But Mike, if they move back and we're able to add a little bit more draft capital, and I mean, we have plenty of picks in the next couple of years, but I'd rather get another second and third in those four, so where kind of the sweet spot is here.
Sweet spot, right? Exactly.
That would be nice because I mean, the second pick of round 2. What do you move back maybe to the middle of round 2, but add a third? That could be
that's what I'm talking.
If you look here, Mike, there's some good players left. I mean, there's 15, 20 guys deep here. I mean, on my list at least, even that are really good players. So I think what are they showing? They're showing every single Hall of Fame guy here introducing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. I want you
NFL.
guys
This is
to
what
think psychologically. Roger Goodell is the weakest human because he goes up there and he gets booed all the
Yeah,
time, right?
he
And then he
does.
starts with like, come on, to try to act like he's like a tough dude.
I didn't come all the way out of my
The
basement.
fact that
for this.
everybody boos you because you're a scrub. We all know that. And now he starts bringing cats with him. So he's like, oh, you can't boo me because I got HOFers with me. What a weak human. Just stand there and do your job. Like,
And we know he was up there tossing tapes and garbage cans up in New England too, burning them up, which always is.
Oh my God.
Don't get me started.
You know, it's always interesting the things we can bury as a culture. That happened. Oh yeah, my Wookiee's not a fan of Kuiper. He's on the POS list, right, Wookie?
I'd slap Kuiper. I don't think I'll punch him on side. I'll slap him.
He's on the SOS list.
He has his moments for me, but I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, Mel Kiper's not. POS list is the punch on sight list, which are people that if Wookie does see them and they cross his path, he could assault them. Which, you know, and COVID shortened the list up because Wookie doesn't want to get really that close to anybody, but yeah, there's a lot of people on there. For a while, you had Walt Clyde on there, which I didn't think was right. But I don't think you'd actually step to Walt Clyde. He's like 6'9". I think he'd back off if you saw him in real
it'd
life.
be like a hip shot at best.
So Mel Kiper is best available. He has Elijah Moore. He's been like, and then
that's my number 3 right there.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore was my number 3.
Bateman
Wooster was my number 1. No, he got drafted. He got drafted yesterday. I think he got drafted by the Ravens.
But you want to know something, Keith? There's one thing I wanted to say. There was so I was naming all those players, but if you really wanted to ask me who I really, really want, like who I like dream, I'll take Javonte Williams. Why not? I mean, I know a running back really isn't efficient or whatever, but Javonte Williams is just as good as Najee Harris and Travis Etienne by a lot of different analysts. And I don't know. I know it's probably not the best place to go because we have so many holes, but like I feel like we've got a beast left side of the line, and I just want a beast running back.
And that kid, like when we talked about him, when we did the draft preview, and we talked about Williams, Mike, he's the type of dude that, you know, gets hit 3 yards into a run and he drags it out for like a 7-yard carry. You know, at least you saw him in college do that, man. Hard runner, low to the ground, tough guy. I think he had 20 touchdowns last year rushing, which is ridiculous. And he split carries out there. They basically split the carries right down the middle out there with Carter, who's more of a smaller running back. Caught a lot of passes, Carter, a little bit, maybe a little more passes than Williams, but Williams is tremendous. If they went with him, I'd be surprised. But maybe what they're thinking is this, Mike. Maybe they're thinking, like I just said to you, I'm not saying the defense is filled with just stellar Pro Bowlers, but Mosley has been tremendous in the past, as we know. Quentin Williams is one of the best defenders in the league. Lawson is a monster, you know? So they got some players out there. So maybe they're like, all right, maybe we don't go defense and we do just continue to add offensive pieces, like a lot of our friends have said they want to do, which is add offensive pieces, kind of do the opposite of what they did with Sam. Seems like the Jets do a lot, which is go defense at the top of drafts. Seems like for 10 years we drafted defensive players. I don't know. Maybe that's the direction they go. Maybe they just spend these first rounds of these drafts, Mike, loading up on offense, giving Wilson as many weapons as they possibly can.
Absolutely. We're going to find out. I have a feeling that he's going to go offense because I think that that's the part of the team that needed the most work.
Yeah.
We've concentrated a lot on offense. Mike, what do you think? You think we're going
I like hope it's offensive line, you know, and just start, because to hear you guys talk, it sounds like McGovern be better suited to play guard, right? So if there's is there a can't miss center right now, or is it are we reaching it?
There's two guys,
Dickerson and Humphrey.
Yeah,
they're both good. They're both really good centers. I mean, I don't know if they're can't miss, but I mean, a lot of people like them. I know a couple other podcasts we've been on, people dug them big time. And like Mike said, we've said it a million times. If they did draft a center, then you could move McGovern over. I think, like you're saying, Mike, you improved 2 positions, which is tremendous. But we didn't ask you though, Mike. What are you thinking? We didn't get your thoughts on Zach Wilson and the draft pick last night. Kind of the direction that the team's going here, which seems so kind of the antithesis of what we've been in the previous years, previous regimes, the way the team has been run in the past. This seems very strategic, very pragmatic, very smart. Joe Douglas seems like he's doing a good job. What do you think?
I agree. Like, we're not starting over again every 3 years, you know. It just seems like, well, I mean, we are as fans, but it just seems like we're being smart about it. We have tons of draft picks. We have a quarterback now who seems really, really confident. We're building a line out. It seems like he does a lot of these 1-year contracts, keeps the guys around that are good fits and re-signs them. So I'm optimistic. I feel like it might actually work. Might win 8 games next year, 9 games, you know, and draft
Yeah,
a
and these
center
little
and have
moves,
shit.
like-
Maybe that will work too. I don't know.
Yeah. And these moves you make, like Joe D going out, getting that extra 3rd round pick. I think it was in the Jamal Adams trade. And then taking that extra 3rd round pick along with the pick we already had. And then you go from 23 to 14 to get the offensive lineman you want. I mean, that's just what good GMs do. You get the guy you want. You don't sit back and wait and have it dealt to
Right.
you. As long as it's within 8 or 9 picks there. Wookiee Giants did the same thing for the first time in his career. I think we were talking about the other day. It's been 8 entire drafts somehow Dave Gettleman has gone through and never traded back once.
It was the
He's
first
moved up.
time.
He's moved up in the draft. Never traded back in the draft. That's unheard of. You don't hear about that a lot.
And
But
the first
I
time he
think
does it,
great trade for the Giants. The pick we can get into, but
Yeah.
on paper, tremendous trade. You got some nice
We
draft
got a lot
capital for
back.
next year.
yeah,
And it's not
Yeah,
like
we
you
did.
move back to the end of the first. You just move back 9
Right.
spots. Maybe got a
Right.
guy you wanted anyway.
That's the only problem.
That's the thing. I think Devonta Smith was the guy, and I think
Yeah.
that was the guy the Giants were targeting. And then what happened with the trade there, and they kind of got it was SOL for them. But I think Tony's a step down from Devonta Smith in a lot of ways. But he's going to a team that has some weapons: Galladay, Ingram,
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard. They brought in Rudolph. It's like their offensive line is decent enough. So I think that's a good situation for Tony to go into at least when it comes to the.
Oh,
future.
absolutely. But I just it makes the trade for me a little. I mean, we got a ton back. Don't get me wrong, but it's still. I mean, we could have went so many different spots there besides Tony. There were 2 receivers out there still. I believe Bateman was still there, and
Yeah.
Wow.
Jeremiah was still there.
Tyson Campbell drafted.
oh wow,
Tyson
Okay.
Campbell. This is why Mike got the phone out. If you guys want to know why Mike's not all in right now, he's not looking at the screen. He's not doing anything right now. Mike has it in first gear.
Took
so you
my
guys know.
boy.
We're
I
doing
did-
the first
did I
ever
not-
live
did I
show,
not-
and Mike's
did I-
like, Keith, do all the heavy lifting. I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. The whole time.
Did you
That's what I'm
I
gonna
thought
do.
I was looking at Schefter right there for a second.
I'm Mike. I'm just playing. So Mike, Tevin Campbell went first to the Jaguars.
Tyson Campbell went first.
Tyson Campbell, excuse me. I think I said
Yes.
Tevin Campbell. Wasn't that like a
Kevin
singer?
Campbell's that too.
Was that not a singer?
He
An
was.
R&B
I was
singer?
actually, when you guys mentioned his name before, I actually first thing I thought it was Tevin Campbell. No joke.
Wow. Well, hey, hopefully
He's a solid
Tyson
quarterback in
Campbell's
this
career turns out a little bit better than Tevin Campbell.
thing. 4 minutes.
All right.
4 minutes. We get to you guys do next.
All right, here we go, guys. Jets.
I think they go off
the
offensive line.
Jets are on the clock here, guys.
I'm
now,
so upset. They took Tyson.
I know that's your
Campbell, man.
boy. That's your boy right there.
I
Mike.
told you guys.
When it comes
But
to
I feel like-
when it comes
I
to the
feel like we
AEBG,
played-
go
I
ahead.
feel like we played good defense last year, right?
Yeah.
So
I
mean,
think Campbell's good, and he has all the measurables, Mike, that you like. I think there's some better players in front of him overall, but Jaguars needed to get a corner. So he's the
Yeah.
type of guy, like you said, Mike, has that size, has that length that teams are looking for, that you love. You like his tape, you like the size, the speed, closing ability for him. We had him on here on the AEBG big board as the number 11 guy because there's some players ahead of him like Moore, Barrymore, Elijah Moore, Owusu. There's some better players, I think, ahead of him, much better players ahead of him, but probably the best corner out there, arguably enough, with Asante Samuel Jr. Jaguars go ahead and
So
load up on
Jets-
defense.
The Jets are sticking.
Mm.
They're
No
not
trade?
They're not going to trade. No.
Okay. Mike
Here we
has
go.
the inside scoop. Here we go.
Here we go. Let's see. We got 3 minutes.
44
Who's the
seconds
receiver
left.
left? Isaiah. What's his last name?
Well, they have Elijah Moore from Ole Miss.
I'm sorry,
really
Elijah
good
Moore,
receiver.
that's what it
Rondell Moore is left, and Marshall Jr. too from LSU. He's really good. He's a big time target.
Yep.
A lot of touchdowns last year. We have a Denzel Mims, who's kind of a similar type player.
Yeah.
But I mean, can you have too
Yeah.
many good receivers that can go up and catch the ball? Probably
No.
not. Crowder's like a little 5'9" fast as hell guy. So if they went and took a receiver here, I guess I'd be kind of surprised. I think running back, like Mike said, maybe is more likely if they go skill position. But offensive line wouldn't make anyone mad. But
No,
Mike,
of course
we have Salah here running the show, and we know he loves defense. We know he loves corners. We know this guy wants to get guys that can blitz. So if they do go Georgia and they do go Ojulari and they bring him in, get
They could
another
do
edge
that.
rusher. And I know it's like funny. I know, Mike, you've seen Terrell Basham Jr. He's kind of on different people's boards in different spots. He had 15 sacks in his last 19 games there at Wake Forest. He's a beast, power rusher. That dude's 6'5", 290. So, I mean, he's a guy, too. He's an old-fashioned DN there, which I don't know if that's the guy the Jets are considering. A 4-year player there at Wake Forest. Tyson Campbell, though, went off the board just now. That's tough, Mike. Syracuse has Melifonwu, whose brother got drafted by the Raiders a couple years ago. 6'3", 213, another guy Tyson Campbell sized. Dickerson, 6'6", 333. That's a big old monster there at center, guys. Tore the ACL in the SEC title game where he might have been drafted already because those centers are hard to come by. There's a lot of different options they could go, Mike. I'm excited here. I'm amped. Doesn't look like it's going to be a trade. Doesn't mean they can't trade back into the second or third round.
Oh, of course.
You know,
You guys got a ton of picks to work with.
yeah, and we'll be able to have Dwayne on here, our buddy Dwayne from our correspondent from Jamaica, our Jamaican football correspondent, to jump on with us in a moment. Talk about the 49ers, getting some of those draft picks. We'll also have Dan Scampoli, Raider fan, on with us in a little bit as well. What do we got? I see Hugs. Oh, that's from last night. I got sidetracked, guys. Sorry. I'm trying to watch this television and do this at the same time. Yeah, but it does seem, I don't know, man. The buzz lit yesterday, aside from, and we can get into this, and then if they pick, we'll start talking about the pick, Mike. Aside from people like Mel Kiper, Wookie, we know where I'm going with this.
Of course.
When you say in 2018, he's sitting up there like this idiot's doing right now with his Eddie Munster haircut, and he says the best quarterback in the draft is Sam Darnold. And, this guy does this for a living. It's his job. There's 5 quarterbacks. He says that's the best guy. Wasn't the best guy. Okay. No. And now he wants to say, that's not true. I was still right. It's the Jets' fault. He's still the best guy. They're so stupid for trading him that he uses that filter to say, oh, man, picking Zach Wilson's a little risky. I don't know why they would do this. Well, I saw his write-up. And he's like, yeah, I don't know why they did this, man. How many times last night did he mention Sam Darnold? Was it 15 times?
Yeah. Well,
Sam Darnold right there.
I had Sam Darnold rated higher. That's what he kept saying.
Exactly. He kept saying, I had rated higher. I had Sam Darnold rated higher. But guess how Sam Darnold played? Like garbage. So, like, when he uses his ratings as his basis to discuss something, it's like a weatherman's wrong the whole week. And then on Saturday, though, he wants to tell you what the weather is. You're like, dude, don't try to tell me you're using your data to argue with me. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Or the half, like, the nonsensical stats, like the last 4 games of 2018, this, that, 6. Yeah. Like, he was, like, spitting out, like, little 2 and 4
Jet fans don't know, this dude played, I think, 38 games, 39 interceptions, had almost 60 total turnovers.
We went Elijah Moore, wide receiver.
Ooh!
That's not
there
terrible.
You go, everybody. Elijah Moore, wide receiver, Ole Miss. That is a home run pick. Now, Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network, that was the #1 player that he had out there still on his board. That was Elijah Moore. He thought he was the best guy still available. I'm not that surprised. Damn, man, they're going to go ahead and give our guys some weapons. We got Elijah Moore. We got Corey Davis. We got Crowder. We got Mims. Mike.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yes.
Are you
here? I'm trying to.
You know that we're live, right? You know we're live on the show, right?
Your wife has me doing things right now.
Don't tell her to stop and leave you alone. All right. Oh man, Elijah Moore. All right, that's a good little addition to the squadron. Another wide receiver for Wilson. And I guess they're gonna go the route that the Giants did this offseason so far in this draft, which is try to give your quarterback as many weapons as you can. Try to give them as many outlets as you can. Last year we had games when you're throwing Barrios out there for the Jets. He was like the #1 receiver. Nothing wrong with Barrios. He'd make some good plays. But he's hopefully a guy, Barrios, that plays just when people are hurt. Yeah, you want him coming in, and he had some good plays. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm not saying he's a bad player, but Mims and Crowder, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, these are elite potential wide receivers.
Yeah. So Elijah you guys are stacked now.
So Elijah Moore is. So what are we going to do with Jamison Crowder? Because
that's the question. They play similar position. Jamison Crowder. Now, if they do keep them both, you have a ton. They don't. The thing is, Mike, they don't have to do anything because they have plenty of cap space.
It's true.
It's not like Jamison Crowder is on the squad and they're like, damn, we're up against it with the cap. And I think he's going to be $9 or $10 million against the cap next year. I don't think that's an issue money-wise. I just think that, hey, man, you can't have enough good receivers.
It's like starting pitching in baseball.
Yeah, as opposed to having none, like, we've had it other times. You can't really have too many good ones. And I think when it comes to Wilson, what they're going to be trying to do here on offense, play action, nail bombs, you need as many fast guys as you can. I think this is not great for Denzel Mims, to be honest. I think Elijah Moore is going to be the #2 and Corey Davis is going to be your #1. And then Mims is just going to be maybe a deep option, but we'll see how it works out as the year goes on.
Well, they don't have Mims is the only stretch receiver.
Mike, Corey Davis balls. Most of the balls he caught last year were bombs.
No, he's slot. He's a slot guy too. He runs great routes. His greatest attribute is that he runs great routes, crisp routes, and that he's speedy. But he's not a go receiver. Mims is the only true.
So he's a
receiver.
6'3", 225 slot receiver. You're saying Corey Davis? So he's a tight end?
He's not a. He's not a go. He's not a.
What are you talking about?
He's not a go. He's not a go receiver. And they said when Saleh took over or this type of offense that Mims doesn't really fit this offense. the way more of a Crowder fits it because they're more shiftier, like kind of like a guy like Brandon.
So then
Ayuk.
how doesn't what they just did affect Mims? Like I just said, if you just said what you just said.
Well, what I'm saying is that he plays a different receiver than Mims. Mims is your wide receiver. He's your go guy, right? He doesn't play that position. They don't play the same position, but he plays more what Crowder plays. And Davis is obviously your X. He's your do-it-all guy, right? He's your best receiver on the board. But I did. That's why I said I don't know what's going to happen with Jamison Crowder because they pretty much are the same type of receiver. He's just a better, a younger, faster one.
Corey Davis averaged 15 yards a catch last year. So how do you do that if he's playing the way that you just said he's playing? That's difficult to do, right? I'm just saying. I hear what you're saying to me, but slot receivers don't average 15 yards a catch. That's not
I didn't say Corey Davis is a slot. Corey Davis is your X. He's your best receiver.
I'm talking about going downfield with the ball is what I'm talking about. You're talking about X's and Y's and Z's. You can talk about that shit all you want. I'm saying that Corey Davis is our number one receiver on the team.
Oh,
yes.
Wait, Mike, are you guys talking about the same receiver?
No, so what Mims is to Corey Davis is your go-to receiver, your number one receiver option. Mims is your stretch. He's the guy that can do your go routes, right? He's your wide receiver who stretches the ball, jumps the ball when it's 38 and you need to throw the ball up and the guy needs to catch it like a Plexico burst. That's the type of receiver that Mims is. What I'm saying is Elijah is not that type of receiver. He's a slot receiver like Jamison Crowder.
Yo, who has all that noise in the back? Is that you, Dwayne?
It's got to be Dwayne.
Are you in a restaurant or something? Because you know we're doing this is official here.
I'm listening to Mike explain the receiver. He's an ex-receiver, Mike. Ex-receiver and a slot receiver. Your Jets are doing real good right now, man. I won't even lie to you. I might become a fan after this draft.
You're gonna jump on? You're gonna jump on the bandwagon?
Yeah, I might jump on the bandwagon.
Go from San Fran to the Jets.
Broncos traded up and took Javonte Williams. It looks like.
All right, gentlemen.
Javonte Williams. I'm sorry.
You guys are doing more for Zach Wilson than you guys did for Darnold, though, which is kind of unfair.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, Denver traded into 35 to draft Javonte Williams.
You signing out here, Mike Milano?
Yeah, I'm gonna take off, gentlemen. Have a good draft and. What do you think? 10 wins, 12 wins. I'm in manic Mike right now. I'm maybe 13.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm gonna temper the wins expectation. Let's see how the rest of the draft shakes out because the division's gonna be good, but we're definitely gonna be better than last year. That's for sure.
Hell yeah, man!
Definitely.
All right, have a good night, gentlemen.
All right, cool.
All right, buddy.
Welcome to the show, Creams. Welcome to the show, Creams.
Appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on.
And we'll move on, and we're gonna talk about the Creamies. But all I was saying, Mike, is that last year Davis 15th in the NFL. Yards per catch. Whether you're running fast or not running fast, they threw the ball downfield to him all the time when he caught it. So it is what it is. But when it comes to the Niners,
that's not my disagreement. I agree with all of that. Davis is our best receiver. There's no dispute about that. You know what I'm saying? He's your best receiver. I'm saying that Mims and this guy are different.
Yeah, that's why. But the whole point of the beginning of this was me saying that this is going to probably affect Mims the most.
I would say
Davis is your number
Crowder.
one.
I say it affects Crowder more.
Well, if they get rid of Crowder,
it might affect Crowder more. Mims is more your slant and go.
That's what I'm telling him. That's what I'm saying. He plays different positions.
So it will actually open up more for him, to be honest with you.
Right. Sure. Mims is going to get more targets because they drafted a receiver. That totally makes sense, guys. Totally makes sense.
Well,
they draft a receiver in the second round, and it's helpful for his career. Now, Mike, I love that you're following Dwayne's logic, and he's agreeing with it when you're shaking your head, and that makes it right. I do love how that feels.
No, what he's saying is that
I know what he's saying. I know, but we can move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's keep it going. We have other things to talk about, especially when it comes to the 49ers, who they took last night, Creams. They grab a quarterback. There was a lot of hullabaloo about Mac Jones, Lance, Fields. Who did you want them to take? Was it Fields ahead of Lance? I know you wanted one of those two, but you had nothing to do with Mac Jones.
As we were talking before, I definitely wanted Fields more. Fields comes from a big school, big program. I felt more comfortable with us drafting Fields, but I preferred Lance, obviously, over Mac Jones. We talked about this.
Yeah,
already.
no, I know you like him more.
Even though Lance really doesn't have much games behind him,
Yeah.
Or big games. Comes from North Dakota State with a small program, but his athleticism is through the roof.
Yeah.
So
But that's the thing that's tricky, right? And me and Mike have debated, and Mike used to love him, and then Mike downgraded him a little, and then Mike loved him again, and then because the thing is with that kid is his stats are like Madden stats, like crazy, ridiculous. And then you look at where he played, and you say it's North Dakota State, but I mean, Wentz had success, Josh Allen had success. There's other quarterbacks, not many, but there's a few quarterbacks that have had success coming from that type of area, which is basically like a Division II school he played in. But I mean, the Niners must have liked him a lot because they could have had Mac Jones, they could have had Fields, they could have had Lance. That's the guy they wanted. Now, I mean, they really did run a good smokescreen too because they had everybody thinking it was either Mac Jones, right? Everyone was saying that, and then. As we got closer, Mike didn't think that the whole time. I'll give Mike credit. Mike was not on the Mac Jones train for one single second. At the beginning, Mike was not a Mac Jones fan. He's not feeling it. And Mike was right.
No, I'm not a Mac Jones fan either. I was telling Mike I'd have been so disappointed if we took Mac Jones. Absolutely.
And Mike, he did go where you thought too, man. You thought he was going to slide, and you thought he'd go to the Patriots, and that's exactly where he landed.
That's where I feel like the Patriots are desperate. And I thought he would slide, and that at first I had them passing on him, and then I thought about it, and I'm like, nah, they're gonna take him because they got Cam Newton, and they need somebody. And
have to.
Miami just took Javon Holland, the safety out of Oregon.
They took the top safety. They took the top safety on the board.
Yep.
Okay. Draft moving along here. It's
Is he the
interesting, man.
Award winner?
But
who's that?
I was hoping we was gonna move on Jimmy G, to be honest with you, though, man, and then try to trade him.
But I think I was gonna say something else.
It didn't work out because we need to save a lot of room in the cap. We have no defense at all.
Regarding the Jets, I think what they are trying to do is they're replicating San Francisco, not replicating, but in their own way. And if you remember San Francisco had a ton of really good receivers, like really good ones, like a bunch of them. And I feel like that's what they're doing. Like they're getting all these really good options so they can go 4 or 5 wide, give the cat options, tight ends, have and run and really predicate the offense off the running game. So if they're running the ball the way they want, and then boom, 4 or 5, and hit any of these cats.
Mike, you know what I was thinking too? You know what I was thinking too in relation to what we were talking about before? Say they don't cut Crowder. Say they keep Crowder and they have Elijah Moore. But Crowder's got to be 28, 29. Say they keep them both and they have Mims and they have Davis. Then with the way San Francisco, and Dwayne knows this more than anyone, the way they run their offense, tight ends just kill it in that offense. Our tight end is a bag of trash, Herndon.
He is.
And there's some decent tight ends left in this draft. But I'm thinking, man, that dude, some people like him a lot, Mike. There's still some Chris Herndon supporters. He's got no excuse next year. If they have all these receivers, no one's going to be guarding that dude. He's going to be open. He might be someone, as opposed to what I thought about him before this draft, he might be someone actually that improves big time next year, Mike.
Yep.
He absolutely could with all the help around them now. You got tons of receivers. He's got no excuses.
What's the next best tight end to come off the board?
Guy
from Penn State?
Yeah, Fryermuth from Penn State, Dwayne. He's the next best tight end out here. And you got the tight end too from Miami, Jordan, who's pretty decent. I think Fryermuth, if you look at like production-wise in college football, after our boy Pitts obviously is all by himself, right? After Pitts, the second highest production level was Fryermuth from Penn State. Pretty consistent. Penn State is a tight end school. Tight ends and linebackers they put out.
So real quick, so we talked Elijah Moore, Javonte Williams going to the Broncos. What do you guys think from a fantasy perspective where he is? Do you like him there?
That's a good spot, man. I think that's a good spot.
I think it's a dope spot.
Yeah, because they have no one. I mean, they don't have any running backs that are going to be ahead of him. He's going to be. We know how the NFL 2021 is. Nobody's going to get 25 carries really besides Derrick Henry, right? But I think he doesn't really have no one ahead of him on the depth chart that you're going to think is going to be eating up carries. And that dude, man, 20 touchdowns last year. You get him inside the red zone. I know in our league in the SCFL. That dude's going to be highly sought after. He's probably going to be a top 10 pick.
Absolutely.
ETN and Harris, forget about it. I know people were just drooling over themselves last night. I saw when those guys got drafted in our fantasy football league. But I think Williams, he's another guy. Like, remember a couple years ago, his guys. Maybe it was even last year. Who did the Chiefs take as their running back? That little running back they took.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's who it was. And that was the first round, or that was the second round?
That was the
last pick of the first round.
Last pick of the first, right? So, and it's like these last pick of the first round or even second round picks in NFL. end up being super high fantasy picks when it comes to
Oh,
dynasty
God.
leagues. You know, you could be a 3rd-round pick sometimes in real NFL and be a top pick when it comes to dynasty fantasy, as long as you end up in a good spot. But I mean,
Yep.
Williams is a good player. I'm happy that he didn't go to anyone in our division, Mike. I know that the Bills are loading up here. The Jets look like, at least on paper, we're doing the right thing now. The Dolphins have been loading up. I know we mentioned Cam Newton before. I didn't get to say nothing because I didn't think they were going. I don't think any of us thought they were going to start the year with Cam Newton as the
I
QB.
just, but the thing
Also,
is that
they didn't give him no money, bro. Like Teddy Bridgewater has a better chance this year of playing the whole year, I think, than Cam Newton. To be honest with you.
do you guys know what happened to him? I mean, he was Superman. He was Super Bowl 51,
Yeah.
or 50. I forget which one it was. What happened?
MVP.
Did he get
MVP
hurt?
too. Yeah.
Did he get hurt?
He had the,
Like,
the shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had
Can't throw the ball more than
injuries. He had some
15 yards
serious
down the
injuries,
field
Mike.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he went from, and you know what's funny is Cam could still, when you watch the Patriots last year, he could throw the ball downfield, right? He just can't throw it accurately at all.
No.
So you look at
Yeah.
his yards
Picture
per
Lamar
reception.
from the Nerds throwing that javelin.
Yeah, and it's like that's why he can't, when they do those out routes on the sideline, he's not reaching the receiver. You guys know he's skipping the ball out there. He can't throw those passes anymore. So that's why they had to kind of tailor the offense to him. But if you have a Mac Jones, he's not going to scramble for anything. He's just a pocket quarterback. But that's more accustomed to what Belichick wants to do, what his offense is all about, those short slants, getting 5 and 6 yard chunks every single play. Mac Jones did that at Alabama. He's going to do a little bit more of that here with the Patriots. But, I mean, I just have to hope, just like the last 9 drafts they've had, that they've done horrible on the Patriots, I have to hope that they blow this one too, to be honest.
Let's see who the Eagles going to take right now.
Yeah, who are the Eagles going to take? D, I have some questions for you about a little bit more about Elijah Moore. If you could tell our listener. Oh, they took Landon Dickerson. Great pick. Oh, nice. Great pick by the Eagles. Okay. Very, very good.
It's so loud wherever Dwayne is that even when everyone else is talking, it's just going to Dwayne's.
It's the TV. Sorry.
Turn that shit down, man. Come on. What are you doing? Have some respect for us.
Wait a minute. Everybody else has their shit on pause or mute, and you just come on, D.
And I said when he came in, I'm like, what's that noise? He's like,
so Dwayne, so tell our listeners about Elijah Moore. What did you like about him? What do you think about him as a prospect?
Well, 4.2-3 speed. What they saying his 40 time is like a 4.23 slot receiver. You're able to get out his height off of is what 5'9".
5'9".
What's the 5'9", 184. So
184. Yep.
So he just
look who joined us. What is this?
Legit quick off of the line. Legit quick off of the line. He just gets open. The kid just gets open, runs a good route. You guys are looking good, man. You guys are looking.
Yeah,
real good.
ran. You're right. He ran a 4.35, man. That's pretty good.
That is pretty
good speed right there.
Hey,
good speed.
It's Christopher. It's Christopher Fox.
Uh-oh.
One of the craziest Jet fans in the world. What's going on,
Fox?
dude?
What's going on? Ain't easy being green. How is everybody doing tonight? Draft day 2.
Yeah, baby.
Sir.
They just grabbed. I know you wanted Chris, the Jets, to get as many weapons for our boy Wilson as possible, and they grabbed another one here at the top of the second round.
He did. They took Elijah Moore. Chris, what do you think? Talk to the fans.
Yeah, I originally thought we should take a center or another lineman, but if we're gonna keep going offense, I'm all about it, man. Keep adding some weapons for young Zach, and just try to trade back into the late second round, early third round, and try to pick up a edge rusher. But so far, I'm pumped. I'm happy.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible to see Jet fans on social media, Jet fans everywhere are on cloud 9. And from what we've heard at Florham Park, they're not just good with Zach Wilson, they're in love with him. All of the coaches and the brass, they think he's a special player. And Elijah Vera Tucker was just like something that they didn't even believe it was going to happen. And when they got it, you see JD just giving that, because that was their guy. That was the dude they wanted outside of Zach Wilson. They got the 2 most coveted players in the first round. Home run for Joe Douglas.
He's a beast. Watching SC games, I mean, he's a plug-and player. You drop him in day one next year. He's playing. He's starting. There's no growing pains with him. He's gonna be throwing people around just like Becton. Our left side of the line.
Left side is savage beast.
It's gonna be legit. I really want to get a center. I want our new Mangold to grow with Zach. You know, I think that's
that's not
even
gonna.
more.
The best centers are definitely gonna be gone by the next time we draft.
That's just
Yeah.
Christian Barmore.
Christian
they took
Barmore got
Barmore?
taken. Yep, your boy.
Okay.
You just said
He's number 4 on my the big board here, off the board. But you know,
But I'm
for a long
kind of
time-
happy, Mac. I'm kind of happy Mac Jones with the Patriots because I think he was a scrub from day one. From day one,
Oh,
I
you don't
actually
like
want to
him.
bring I actually want to bring my cousin on here. My cousin tried to call me talking trash because he's a Patriot fan, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, if anyone should be laughing, I should be laughing at you. I'm like,
Yeah.
your boy looks like a bag of milk, son.
Yeah, he looks like a ham sandwich
But
with
you
legs.
see him walking?
Yeah, it was
like
weird.
Like he just got a job or something. Like, he was like,
Yeah.
you know.
Not that you
Get
necessarily
the-
have to be, amazing looking at quarterback, but you'd hope someone looks like an athlete. You know, when he got drafted and walked up to the stage, it looked like Mr. McMahon walking on the ring. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I
looked
mean?
like a
It was not
principal or
good.
something.
I mean, what a dork. But hey, dorks can
glad
get
he
it done
went
sometimes,
there.
you know?
I'm glad he went
I mean,
there.
Zach Wilson looked like a child last night when he was up on
Oh,
the stage
God.
with all these other guys.
He
Because
was 10 years old.
he looks like all of us know. We have a dear
he
friend of
looks like-
ours. We have a dear
I'm
friend
more
of ours named
excited.
Jimmy Hunt who has a baby face still.
Oh,
And when he
wait a
was
minute.
21,
yeah.
he looked like he was 14, just like Zach Wilson. So we know what that's like.
I'm more excited about Zach Wilson's mom coming to New York more than even Zach Wilson, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
she trended on Twitter last night. She was a top 5 Twitter twin. Zach
know.
Wilson's mom, his
I
hot
know,
ass mom that he
his
has.
sisters, the whole family. Bring the whole Brady bunch over.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's roll.
Yeah, and he has a younger brother that's apparently just
He's
a
got-
clone of him. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, Zach Wilson's mom's a smoke show. My sister,
No, but
my
one thing-
my wife was looking him up.
One of the things the most miserable Jet fan and I were talking about was that when Sam Darnold got drafted, right? When he addressed Jet Nation, whenever he talked to anybody when in the locker room, it sounded it sounded always very robotic. It sounded very, already thought out. It never sounded truly authentic. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. It lacked emotion. It lacked like that. I don't know. When Zach was talking, it sounded like he's talking to us like for real. It was like, yo, I can't wait to get there. I'm going to be learning, like blah, 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 blah. It didn't seem rehearsed. It didn't seem robotic in any way. Like, and I like that. And you know what? If you're a quarterback, if you're the leader
gotta
of the
have
squad,
moxie.
you got to have moxie. Exactly.
You got to.
You
And
got
not
to.
Johnny Motson.
not be a complete douche like Baker. He has too much moxie, but
Yeah.
Tevin
Zach
Jenkins gone.
Zach seems like he's grounded. He comes from a good family, and just when he comes to the stage, him smacking the fans' hands.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that
I
too.
like Darnold. I think Sam's going to do well in Carolina, but that's old news now. It doesn't matter anymore. But he never had the moxie, the rah. Even
No.
Chad in San Diego with the fist pump when he threw the 50-yard bomb to Moss.
Yeah.
Like, he had moxie. He had the grit. He had the fight in him. Like Sam had that Eli quality that Eli got lucky. He won 2 Super Bowls, but in New York, you need that moxie. You need that balls. You need to be the guy, and that's the guy we've been wanting for so bad as Jet fans. So hopefully, he is it, because we don't want to find ourselves in the same position 3 years from now. you know?
No, I agree with you
Hopefully he's
totally,
it.
dude. I agree with you.
I agree.
And man, when we have the formula of having, say you have 2 rocks on your offensive line. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like the Jets had Ferguson, the Jets had Brickashaw, Ferguson, and Mangold for over 10 years together. Both guys made a ton, right? And then both those guys made a ton of Pro Bowls. And then around those 2 players for years and years, they'd interchange different linemen. And they always knew, all right, maybe 1 year to the next, they weren't as good, but they always had 2 guys you knew were good. And hopefully we have that right now, man, because and like Dwayne said before, when it came to Sam, I'll that's the only quarterback I could think of in Jets history. People try to say some other quarterbacks like Sanchez. Sanchez had everything available to him to be great. He just stunk. Sam Darnold's the opposite. Sam Darnold,
He had nothing.
I think Sam Darnold, I mean, he had a bad offensive line. He had no receivers. He got saddled with the worst coach, according to me.
Ever.
History of the
It's not
NFL.
even just football and professional sports. The worst
No,
coach
ever. Like
Ever.
volleyball,
Ever.
field hockey. Bring anything up. Worst coach. The worst coach I can remember ever in New York, the worst attitude. A guy that instead of what he was supposed to do is help Sam, did the opposite, So we all know, the story.
What's so crazy, Keith, is like, when like you don't want something, but you're like, damn, I got this happen, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as I think it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bad, but it's not that bad. It was worse than I ever thought it could be.
Think about this, Mike. We did a show when they signed Gase. Basically, like, it was like a funeral, right? Remember when they signed him? I was like, Mike, this is the worst. Does they sign? And then we did a show a month later when they fired the GM, and Adam Gase was our GM for 6 weeks. I was like, what is happening? I lost my mind. I lost my mind. Mike, think about this. He hadn't coached a game yet. He had yet to coach a game. We already knew. Everybody knows, not just me. I know we love the Jets. We have a podcast. Every Jet fan right now is like, yup. Everyone's like, looked at each other like, what are we doing?
That's why Dan Scampoli was like, oh, you just wanted to lose a game. You didn't want to lose because you wanted Trevor. That's what you want. I'm like, no, Dan, actually, I just wanted Gase gone. Like, that's what I really wanted. Period. I wanted Trevor. I'm not going to lie and say I didn't at the time. Now I wouldn't have. I would rather have Zach after looking at all the tape. But at the time, who?
Breathe, Mike. You were about to run out.
Oh, I thought you said a draft. Somebody drafted. I was like,
no, the pick is in right now for Atlanta.
Who is it? Oh, you saw it already? I thought
no, they haven't said it yet. Goodell's up there doing some kind of clap, trying to get people hyped up.
Oh, man. There's nothing worse than just old rich dudes trying to freaking get people riled up.
He's clapping again,
bro. You know, he shouldn't even walk out there at this point anymore. He should just be sending out other people. No one wants to see his face. But you know, Mike, you know what's one thing I want to say? And Chris mentioned this before. I'm getting back to Zach Wilson for a second. One thing that our coach liked, Robert Salah, when he talked about Wilson last night, and this is maybe something people would overlook, but you know, Salah's like super intense guy.
Yeah.
So he said when it came to Wilson, a lot of energy, a lot of passion, obviously a lot of confidence. But he said when they did the Zoom meetings, Zach Wilson's like all up in the screen, like what? Like they're so intense. And Salah's like, that's the guy I want, like a lunatic. Half the time, the way I am half the time when we do these. And you're like, bro, chill, bro, relax. Like that's how Wilson just wants to play football. You heard him last night. Now I know it's lip service. What's he gonna say? He got jerked by the Jets. Of course he's gonna say, I want to play in New York. I get all that stuff. But when he comes out smacking the fans' hands, like Chris said, that's what I want to see. Sam, we all love Sam, but Sam's like the guy who dates your sister and is super nice. You're like, oh, okay, this is a nice guy.
And then he just got
Zach
mono.
Wilson's the guy that brings 2 chicks to the prom, Mike.
And then this dude gets mono at 20. Anyway, I'm not gonna hate on Sam. Dwayne. I know you never liked Sam. I know you never did. I know. Okay. So what do you think of young Zach Wilson? What do you talk to the Jet fans? And you can be honest. You can be real.
No. If I had the second pick in our SCL draft, I would definitely go for Wilson. I told you.
Would you? For real?
I absolutely would. Absolutely would.
Why?
Because the kid is accurate. The kid is a rifle arm. He's legit. He's legit.
Yeah, last night when they took him,
you guys are doing excellent so far, in my opinion.
AEBG never talks about like that.
He's never nice about the Jets.
You know I'm the biggest Jets hater ever. You know that.
Ever. That's why me hearing this, AEBG fans don't know what they're hearing. I've known Dwayne for 25 years. Never heard him be nice about the Jets till right now. There's a moment right now. I'm loving it.
He's still in glory over Garrison Hurst overtime.
Jimmy's house.
Return against the Jets.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was nightmare. Overtime run back, first carry of overtime, and Dwayne was dancing around Jimmy's mom's old house. That was a nightmare. But I'll tell you what. When it comes to Zach Wilson, I mean, I know sometimes we all look at the quarterbacks that only flash statistically for that 1 year, and it makes sense to look at them and be like, all right, is this real or is it not real? Yeah. But say the year you flash, like for instance, Joe Burrow, the year he flashed, he threw for like 5,000 yards and one of the highest quarterback ratings of all time in college history. Last year with Zach Wilson, guys, his 73.4% completion percentage is the 7th highest ever in college football history in Division I. So, I mean, that's a guy who I know he flashed for 1 year, but 33 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. His QB rating is one of the highest of all time, too. And when it came to his entire college career, 837 attempts, he only threw 15 interceptions. So this is not somebody who's going to make the same. We don't know how he's going to turn out, Zach Wilson, but I'll say this. He's not going to make the same type of mistakes. I don't think that Sam made. Sam Darnold was very careless with the ball at USC, and then he came to the Jets, and he was careless with the ball on the Jets, and we could blame everything around him also was complete garbage. And he also was bad. Go ahead, Mike.
And look, I think everybody here hey, Tommy, how you doing? Nice to meet you, man. I've seen a couple of your shows. You guys are doing some tremendous work over
That's
there.
our Giants expert. We'll bring him in a minute.
He's
Continue,
a
Mike.
Giant fan.
I'll intro him momentarily, all right?
Yeah. So what I was trying to say is, and Dwayne knows this very well. Chris knows this, and you know this, obviously, Keith. When we were leading up to the 2018 draft, I did not want Sam Darnold personally. Okay.
No.
I wanted Baker Mayfield, and the reason was that he didn't turn the ball over, and he was very accurate, and he was a playmaker, and I liked the moxie. And remember, Chris, I sent you the picture of Mayfield stabbing the flag, and I was like, that's gonna be Mayfield doing that in Gillette.
I was
you know, remember that
draft.
I was all about Baker Mayfield, and then it was Keith, I don't even remember. It's like 2 days before the draft, and we start hearing this ridiculousness about the Browns, and I was like, nah. And I had tickets to the draft. I went to the draft in Dallas. I work in Texas. I was there, Dwayne. I was there to see my quarterback taken, and they take Baker Mayfield 1, and I'm like, and so they take Sam, and then Keith calls me after the draft. He's like, yo, son, don't worry. Actually, he was like really highly rated, and he starts giving me all the good stuff. So I fell.
At first, to be honest, we both were disappointed. I didn't want them to take Sam either. This is the next day we spoke, and I was like, all right, look, man. I was like, all right, look, I tried. We have to try to spin a positive. What are you gonna do? We can't just stick our head in the sand if he's a young quarterback you draft. It's like, but I was not excited when they took him. But look, Sam, at least to Mel Kiper and many people, was the best quarterback. But you know, you hear these things people say, you know how, and Ben Roethlisberger, I understand he's a unique quarterback. He's in his career, he's looked really ugly when he does things, but gets the job done. So who cares, right? But they try to say Sam, they were like, yeah, in college, he was really sloppy, but if he improves on interceptions in the pros, he might be great. When they say really sloppy, you know, that's not an attribute you want to hear. You know,
right.
Like they would show some of his turnovers when we drafted Sam, and you're like, man, what the heck? And then in the pros, and didn't have receivers, didn't have an offensive line, had the worst coach of all time. Don't get me wrong, guys. The Jets maybe didn't develop in the way they should have. He still threw the ball directly to the other team all the time.
Directly.
So, I mean, with all those things said, if you're a really good quarterback, in spite of the fact that your receivers stink, maybe you're more rushed than everybody else, you don't turn the ball over like he did, and you don't fumble it as much as he did. And he's going to have every chance to succeed in Carolina, and we'll see what the deal is. But I don't think we're going to have a similar problem when it comes to Zach Wilson, Mike.
I can't pronounce the name of the guy Detroit just picked. Levi Onwuzurike?
Yeah, Onwuzurike, exactly, from Washington.
It's Aaron. No, with the whole Zach Wilson signing, also for me, it's like you listen to ESPN, you listen to radio, and you have Mark Sanchez on the radio now talking about his experience in New York when he got drafted. Well, the guy who got drafted, the quarterback who was drafted before him, has been on the same team his entire career, and just up until this year, getting traded to LA, and that's been over 10 years. So it's like, could this finally be the guy that, if he's just above average,
right,
and good, we can keep for 10 years?
We keep talking about
that. It's a revolving door over and over and over again.
So, let me ask
Sanchez
this.
Was on the radio and was on like 4 different teams after the Jets, where Stafford was on the Lions his entire career. So I'm just hoping that Wilson is just the guy to 2030. Give us 8 years of him. I'll be happy with that. You know, so it's like.
So let me ask a question to Tommy, who's just joined. He's a Giant fan. How do you feel about Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones, I think this is going to be his put up or shut up year. They actually do have my live reaction on a podcast to Daniel Jones being drafted by the Giants. I was not happy.
Yeah.
You overheard some beverages being poured.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was not fun. But when you look at that draft, I felt like the Giants went for the franchise quarterback in the wrong draft because they wanted Justin Herbert, who decided to go back to college one more year. And we can see what Herbert's doing now with the Chargers. I think Daniel Jones is, when you look at the Giants' offensive line, that's been a weakness. It has gotten better. You know, the Giants ran for over 100 yards 8 times last season. That's when Saquon Barkley was hurt. They were 6-2 in those games. You mentioned before, Daniel Jones has the turnover issues. It seemed like the Giants' offense, what they started to do, they became run first for the majority of the time, and that's when Daniel Jones was able to cut down on those turnovers. I do think, though, for the Giants offense to take the next step, they need to give him weapons, which they did this offseason. They signed Galladay. I really feel like I need to say this about the trade yesterday that occurred before the Giants pick. Have you ever seen two divisional rivals come together and trade draft picks?
No, I was surprised about that, actually.
That's some SCFL style.
Yeah,
shit
that's
that
that's like,
I can't
you
believe
know
that happened.
what?
Yeah, Nick, I can't believe
It's
y'all
like-
did that.
I really think Giants fans could not hate the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. And then that stuff happened last night. But I definitely think, going from Daniel Jones, we're not sure if he's the answer, but we're still going to give him a try. This year, he has the weapons. The offensive line should be better. So it's definitely something that this is just put up.
Miami just drafted a left tackle, and their quarterback is a left-handed quarterback.
Oh, that's smart. Maybe that's interesting. Tom Terrific, let me ask you a question. Do you think that the pick there, I know obviously they probably wanted Devonta Smith. They moved down, they have to settle for Tony. Do you think that was a little bit of a stretch there? He was a guy that you saw kind of at the end of the first round, top of the second round. Giants went ahead and took him number 20. If he's the guy they like, he's the guy they like. It is what it is when it comes to receivers. I understand that. But what do you think about that pick at number 20 though?
Raiders select.
Well, at number 20, when I heard the name, I said to myself, who? And the last time I did that was when the Giants drafted Eli Apple. So that was another traumatic draft experience that came
Eli
out.
Apple.
Solid pick.
His reporter
Solid
mother.
pick, Eli Apple.
Oh, yeah. Solid for, everyone else in the NFC East. But when I look at Tony, I can understand everyone might say the Giants still need to improve the offensive line. The New York Giants offense was still the offense. I really didn't like Rashawn Slater at tackle at number 11. I understand the trade. And I think with Tony, the one thing he brings in, I feel like he would be a wide receiver that's tailor-made for the Kansas City Chiefs because of his speed. Definitely think he brings something else that the Giants didn't have a wide receiver, because all the Giants wide receivers have different skill sets. Galladay, 6'4", wide body that they haven't had in the red zone.
But let me say this, Nick, you weren't happy with Kadarius Toney. You weren't happy with what the Giants did, huh?
It's not so much the trade initially. It shocked me a little bit, but when I saw we got a lot of
turn your TV off.
We got a lot of things back. I said, okay, trade's not that terrible. Then they go and get Tony. Not knocking the kid at all. This is not a knock on Tony. This is Gettleman. Like, why? What do we do? You traded all that, and then you get another wide. We have 4 wide receivers already. What are we doing? You can't tell me
D, turn your TV down. Dwayne,
No,
turn your TV down.
What's the height and weight of the Moore?
He's
180. 5'9", yeah, like 185.9. He's like a Tyreek Hill size guy.
5'9", 184.
Yeah.
If you watch certain analysts, they'll tell you he's 6'5", 400 though.
So Chris, we were talking about this
make Kevin
before,
Durant 7'8".
that the Jets are looking to replicate kind of like the model that San Francisco had. San Francisco had all those really
they
good
got
receivers.
Bourne, they got a ton of receivers. So
they had a ton of receivers over there, like Brandon Ayuk. They had Hurd,
Deebo Samuel.
Deebo Samuel. You know what I'm saying? That was their offense. And I'm down. Let's get them. We don't have enough. Now think about it. You can go 5 wide. You got Keelan Cole, Elijah Moore, and then you got Mims, and then you got Crowder and Davis. That's 5 wide receivers that you could just flex out.
You can't forget about our number 1 receiver last year, Barrios.
No, you can't. He's already forgotten about. He's done. He's never going to catch. He's not going to catch a pass again the rest of his life, unless everyone gets hurt again, like what happened last year to our receivers, where no one can stay on the field at all. But that's a good guy to have. Barrios shouldn't be a guy who starts and gets a lot of targets. He should be a guy who's your 4th or 5th guy that only plays when you have to have him play. So he's a good guy to have for depth, because when he had to play last year, he was decent enough. There's games he was the only target he had some games.
Oh, where's Scampoli? Raiders picks in.
Oh, there's Schleich. I love it.
The Raiders pick is in. Yeah, Scampoli. I thought.
The Raiders got
Raiders got some.
Dan doesn't want it. What did he call?
We're just going to take the stuff out.
I can't pronounce his last name. Morig, Trayvon Morig. Safety,
Yeah, he was the number
TCU.
two. Number two here on the big board here. The AEBG board on the AEBG is gone. Oh, Wusu's number one. I don't think he's taken yet, right?
He's
Oh,
not.
Wusu's still out there?
He's still there.
Wow, I cannot believe that. Ojolari 2 is still out there. Marshall Jr. I think is still out there. Ashanti Samuel Jr. is still out there. So some good players left out there. Some guys people thought would go in the first round still floating around here in the second round. I wish the Jets had another second floating, Mike, or just the top of the third.
I think we're gonna move a couple fourths.
Yeah, I
We have
wouldn't be
two, right?
surprised.
We
Yeah,
better.
I mean, they have the thing is, say you have 21 picks over 2 years, you're not going to add 21 players to your team.
Yeah, 15 maybe.
That's unrealistic. So,
14?
getting rid of some of those players and making some moves is more than likely what's going to happen. What is that noise? Because whoever's making that noise, just get off the call. 'Cause I'm done listening to it. All right, cool. Yeah, we're not going to make 21 picks because that's insane. So they do use 3 or 4 of them to move up. Like they already used one yesterday, Mike. That's kind of just currency. It's why making those trades when you get 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing as a first round pick might be like $100 bill, right? But those 4th and 5th, that's like a 50 and a 20. You still need those. They still add up. If you have them in your pocket when you go to make a trade, that might be something over the other,
What am I hearing?
That's look, you know what it probably is a ghost in your house.
No, I'm hearing. I'm gonna have an aneurysm.
So, Chris, what do you think? What are you thinking about Elijah Moore? So, talk to us about what you think about Elijah Moore for the Jets, and then what do you think about
somebody playing the drums?
I don't know what that is. What do you think about
I think
Elijah
that's
Moore
deep.
from a fantasy perspective?
From a
Talking to
fantasy
Fox or Schleich?
perspective?
Yeah. So Jets,
Which one?
football, and then fantasy. Like where?
Who are you talking to? Fox?
You, Chris Schleich.
Oh. I think it's a good pick. I mean, I'd rather have a little bit more O-line help, but I'm glad that we did offense because I feel like we need to give as many weapons to Zach as we can, whether it be O-line or another weapon. From a fantasy perspective, maybe the first year may not be too productive for him, especially being on the Jets. And now he's probably like the third person along the lines to get targets. But could be a really good pick down the future, and maybe not this year for fantasy wise, but next year could be pretty good.
There we go.
So Keith,
Everyone's muting themselves. I appreciate it.
Elijah Moore was your one of your top prospects, Keith. So what did you love about Elijah so much?
Well, it just seemed like, man, he's the type of guy that's going to get the separation you want, when he's running those routes. Mike, you said when it comes to the speed, 4.35. I know everybody loves to see a guy who's 5'9", 180 pounds and say, oh, this is a guy who's just like Tariq Hill.
Yeah.
That's what everyone does that, right? Every single guy who's his height, who has that speed. Tariq Hill, I think, ran under a 4.3. So his speed, he's like Olympic level speed. But when it comes to Moore, he had the production you want there. He had good hands.
Led the FBS, and I forgot exactly what stat, but yes, he did have production.
And when it came to, obviously, and when he played the competition he played against is top level competition. So
yes, sir.
I know we all kind of favor the SEC when it comes to these draft picks, and I get it. But the SEC is the closest to what the NFL is that you have in college football. So when a guy is a top corner like a J.C. Horn in the SEC, you're like, wow, that guy's probably legit. When the guy's a top receiver like a Jamar Chase at LSU, you're like, wow, this dude's probably legit. It's one of the reasons why what Mac Jones did last year, it almost seems like any other guy at another school would probably have been the number 1 pick. But because of Alabama with the receivers he had, even though it was the SEC, he kind of got underrated. But, I think it was a tremendous pick. And I think you can't have enough weapons. Like we said, you can't have enough weapons on offense, considering Sam had little to choose from when it came to throwing the ball. He had Robbie Anderson. And he had a Nunwa that first year before he got hurt, right? So, Herndon was decent enough his first year. But, if you're going to have Mims running down the field, you have Davis, you have Crowder, who we'll see what happens, Mike. Maybe they release him to save a little bit of cap money. But like we said, we're not up against it with the cap. I think we still have like $30 million. So it doesn't even make sense to release him. Just keep him and have as many weapons as you can.
Hey, if they're going to continue to get weapons, Chris and Nick, you know what, guys? In the 4th round, take Michael Carter, running back out of freaking North Carolina. Why the hell not? Continue to get weapons. Continue. He's a fast little cat out the backfield. I know we got P. Ryan, but he was a little bit underwhelming in my opinion.
I think P. Ryan was funny, man, because it was like stop and start with him because he seemed good some games, and then the next game after he seemed good, Mike Gase would give him 2 carries, and you're like, okay, I guess, it's like I'm not gonna blame everything on
He
Gase
was
in the
also
world.
being coached by the worst coach ever. So
Yeah, that's what I just said. And, when there's no rhyme or reason to the coach and how you're getting carries, how they're getting distributed. Last year, we're tanking the season, which I get. But Frank Gore's 47 years old. And they're giving him carries at the end of the year where they drafted a running back. And he's just sitting over there doing nothing. So that's how you know with Adam Gase. Adam Gase, I know he was coaching to win games last year. I get it. But if he was thinking, he knew his days were numbered is what I'm saying. He's like, I'm going to get fired if I don't win some games. I don't care about P. Ryan. I don't care about developing this young running back. I'm going to put Frank Gore's old ass in, which they did. Frank Gore, I'm not saying Frank Gore was horrible. Frank Gore was decent enough. His yards per carry and P. Ryan's were similar. But, I would rather get a little bit more of a dose of him. Mike, I guess the jury's still out. But if it's a good running back, guy, like you said, like Carter's fast as hell. That's a little dude, man.
I love that. I love that little guy, man. I think he would be a tremendous catch. Here's a topic for you guys. Everybody kept talking about why did Justin Fields fall the way he fell. Now, Dwayne, you and I talked. We like Justin Fields. We thought that he was extremely accurate. The whole narrative about him holding on to one target was really overblown. I think it was more lazy analysis. But for me, my problem with Justin Fields was one major issue. And I think a lot of the coaches had hesitation with Justin Fields because of this issue. Justin Fields had a problem with holding on to the ball. And if you look at Justin Fields' passer rating, his PFF rating, when pressured, it was one of the lowest ratings in FBS. Period. He's not good under pressure. And I'm sorry.
Weird.
In the NFL, you will be under pressure at all times, even with great offensive line. So I didn't like that. Okay. That was the one thing I did not like. Everything else I loved. His speed, his size, his ability to process, his toughness,
Tough
right? Tough as hell. He's a gamer. I think he's going to be tremendous. What I'm trying to communicate is that the issue with him was his ability to perform under pressure. And that's big.
Well, yeah.
But wait, only 2 games, Mike, only 2 games really he looked bad in. What, the Northwestern game and
but look at his PFF rating under pressure.
I think I agree with
overall.
Wade. There's not that many games. The Northwestern game he looked bad. In the national championship game, people try to say he looked bad. He kept him in the game.
He kept him in the game.
Indiana was the other game.
Yeah. And he got that hit he took was just crumbled him. And I was like, well, he's getting pulled. He played the rest of the game. That kid's tough as hell. I think Justin Fields was a little underrated, but I think what Mike's saying is that even though there's games, his stats were great. They were great because the pocket was perfect. Everything went along to plan. You looked at his first and second route and got the ball out. Where when he had to do off schedule plays, where I think a lot of people think he's a great scrambling quarterback, flinging the ball off schedule, he wasn't the best at that. When me and Mike looked at the stats, which is kind of surprising because he ran for over 1,000 yards in college, but he's not necessarily a scrambling quarterback. In the red zone, he scrambles and gets touchdowns, which matters. But he's probably better in the pocket than people give him credit for. 20 touchdowns passing. He can run it. We've seen him run. He's not Dwayne Haskins who ran like a 5.7, but he didn't really run it that much. He was in the pocket, stayed in there 300 or 400 yards every single year. But when things got a little out of whack there, like most quarterbacks, I guess most quarterbacks when things are off schedule are not as good, or a lot of them, I should say. There's Aaron Rodgers, there's the rare guys like a Russell Wilson that it seems like they thrive in those situations. Not often does a guy thrive in those scenarios, Mike, but you would hope he was a little bit better in that situation.
So Chris Schleich, let me ask you something. You're starting a draft. You could take Jalen Hurst or you could take Justin Fields. Justin Fields is starting. Both are starting next year. Which quarterback are you going to start your SCFL team with? Justin Fields or Jalen Hurst?
It's a tough question because
I love it. I want to hear
coaching behind any of those players. So
go with Jalen Hurts.
I mean, maybe you go Hurts only because at least he's got 1 year under his belt, I guess, kind of. But I don't think that Hurts is going to last either. So
really,
it's really tough. I don't particularly like either one of them because more so for their landing spot than anything else.
And if you
I just feel like that Chicago could potentially ruin Fields.
Wow. Really? Dwayne, you feel that way? You think Chicago could ruin Fields?
No, not at all. Not at all. They have weapons. And I'm all about weapons, wide receiver weapons. They have
Allen
weapons over there.
Robinson. Right?
I would take Justin Fields over Hurts all day.
All
And I
day
liked
long.
Hurts.
All
I
day
liked
long.
Hurts
And
too.
I like Hurts too.
But I think that if you dig in, like last year, for instance, Wentz wasn't great. So Fields came in. He also wasn't great, but they won. So it kind of masks. It's like Sanchez for 2 years. When we went to the AFC Championship game, no one realized he stunk. So I'm not saying Jalen Hurts stinks, but if you look, his completion percentage last year, guys, was 52%. We know that that's trash bag. His QB rating was a 77. I think it should be Justin Fields could be a lot better than that. So if it was me, Mike, you didn't ask me, but if it was me, I'd go with Fields over.
No, I agree.
Hurts just 'cause of
I
that.
would go. I mean, we know we would take them both over David Carr, that scrub, but we would, oh, hey, Scampoli. How's it going?
Since he got protection.
Yeah, Mike, Wookie, who did Cincy grab?
I can't remember the cat's last name. Carmen
from Clemson, offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. They took.
I got the big boy
They
right
got-
in front
they
of me.
got Burrow. I can't switch my fat fingers. I'm afraid I'll drop the call. But they
All
got
right.
Carmen.
Yeah, that's
they got
that they
protection for Burrow.
He's a beast. That's a guy that I thought me and Mike thought would go second round. I had him as like the 8th or 9th best offensive tackle in the draft, and this seems like a place where he'd go. But he's a big boy too, Carmen. He played when you have guys at Clemson playing at the top level. That's what you want to see, man. Playing in those big games, playing against the SEC teams.
So we got Mr. Dan Scampoli with us. So Dan, who did the Raiders take with the second round?
The Jim Thorpe award winner, Trayvon Moehrig.
Yep.
They said it weird on the TV. They said it just they said it weird. It's Moehrig.
Mama Lakabubude?
And you know what? Anything defense, I'm taking defense all day long.
You've been saying that.
I don't care. I don't just keep picking defense. That's their problem. Carr will run the offense. They'll score 30 a game. Just pick defense.
So they got the second best safety in the draft. Is that correct?
Or
maybe the first?
They took Thor's hammer. That's what you're saying.
They took, you know what? He won the defensive back award in the NCAA.
Yeah, and most people, if you look at Daniel Jeremiah, you look at a lot of the big list guys, Moehrig and Owusu and Elijah Moore were like on most experts' lists, the top 3 guys still left in this draft.
Really? Okay,
yeah,
so you guys got
and
it.
the AEBG big board, which has the most credibility of any of these big boards, guys. Okay, we had Moehrig as our number 2 guy left in the draft. His grade on NFL.com was a 6.35, which is pretty good. The grade goes up to an 8. So getting a guy at this slot for the Raiders need defense. Dan knows that. That's a pretty solid pick.
Yeah.
But now, hold on a second. Let's hit the pause button. That's a solid pick. Let's now get into yesterday. Okay, let's get into yesterday. And now, when your GM has to come out and begin a tweet, when the tweet starts with, I know this was going to be a controversial pick, everyone, but they're kind of going out on a limb. And I'm not, Leatherwood could be a 10-time Pro Bowler. What the hell do I know? I just know that a lot of the draft experts had him 8th or 9th. NFL.com, I'm looking right here, has him as 47th highest ranked prospect. But like we said, guys, and we know this, if a team is in love with a guy and they think that's the dude, go get him. I understand it. But it just seems like, and I'm going to ask Dan what he thinks. Do you think where you saw he was projected Leatherwood and where the squad took him, you think it was a bit of a reach? Were you happy with the pick? What do you think?
No. I wasn't happy with the pick. He's got a phenomenal name.
Tremendous name.
Tremendous.
Great.
But the thing is, I look at it like we're in relationships with our teams, and it's like you're out somewhere with your wife or girlfriend, and she's acting like out of pocket, but you have to take her back because that's your job. That's who you're with. But as soon as you get alone with her, you got to be like, why'd you do that? What are you doing? I didn't have the opportunity to get alone with Mike Mayock and go, why do you make me do this? Why do you make me have to defend?
Booker McFarland started mumbling when they made the pick. He's like, they got all quiet. Like, who the hell is this?
And I don't know. I don't know him from a bag of rocks, but you're going to have analysts come out today and either one, make fun of the Raiders, or two, like Chris Sims did, and said he had him as one of his best run blocking offensive tackles. So you're going to have both of that. You're going to have that where somebody likes him, somebody doesn't. I still think it was a reach. I still think they could have gotten him in the second round, but I don't know that for sure.
Scamps,
And what pick
does
did they take him?
They
what
took
does
him.
Nosferatu Mel Kiper think of him though?
Mel Kiper, I didn't.
17,
didn't
huh?
like
That's why
that.
they could have taken
He
Darius. There's
is
some other guys on the
Dracula.
board there. Yeah, there were some other guys on the board there that that maybe that were ranked ahead of Leatherwood, but I will say he's 4.99 40 time. If you're 6'4", 312, that's pretty impressive. Not that that comes in play in the run game. So in the run game, I think you're gonna have a weapon. You got to see what happens to the pass protection though for your boy Carr. I know it's not really a sexy pick. You guys needed, and you lost Gabe Jackson, you lost your boy Hudson, so you needed to get an offensive lineman. Just surprised with the one that they went here, but I mean the second round you bounce back. Seemed like a solid pick here in the second round.
Samuel Jr. just went.
And you know what I love too, Dan,
went?
is how Mayock
Samuel
has
Jr.
to always be the one tweeting and out there when we know who's making the picks.
Yeah.
We know who's making. We know what's happening.
You know, Chucky, and I've been to Dwayne. I tell Dan all the time because he's in denial. He doesn't. It's like us, not with Gase. It was with when we were at Rex Ryan at the last couple of years. Like I didn't want to admit that I had to move on from Rex, but it was like we have to cut. And Keith came to me and came to he's like, yo, Sanchez, this isn't it. We got to move on. And I didn't want to admit it. I was like, no, we need more picks. We almost went to the Super Bowl. We were right there. And he's like, no, son, Sanchez is trash and Rex isn't doing his thing. And Dan and the Raider fans, Chucky's not it, dude. Like he's not. And he's going to keep you where you are until you just let go of him. And you just have to get him out.
How much is the buyout for Chucky?
Oh my, that's a great point. Because
it's like a lifetime contract.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. That's actually probably the problem. You're right.
Yeah, it's like, listen, let's pay this guy to at least lose, so maybe he finally gets some #1 draft picks. But you know what? You got to blame ownership for that. Why do you go out?
Whoa.
You got to blame him. Why'd you bring a guy?
It goes way deeper than that.
You gotta blame Lloyd Christmas.
When Al Davis traded Gruden to begin with for 2 first-round picks, and Gruden ended up coming back and actually beating the Raiders in the Super Bowl. Gruden came back after all of that because Mark Davis wanted him to come back almost as an homage to his dad. So this is kind of weird. Mark Davis has given the team to John Gruden. There is no, ownership has to get him out of there. This is Gruden's run. Mark Davis has zero power over Gruden. Gruden hired Mayock because Gruden realized he was a bad drafter and brought in Mayock, and now Mayock has been a bad drafter. So, Gruden's going nowhere. It's not even a competition.
We all know it starts at the top, too, guys.
49ers
know that it starts at the top. And when leadership is showing up,
Christmas.
When you have millions of dollars and you still choose to look like this, how are you supposed to lead men? Tell me, Mike. Let me ask you a question, Mike. You were in the military. Say one of your superiors showed up looking like this.
That'd be out of regulation. There's no way that the government wouldn't allow it.
You would not be motivated to go into battle if, like Chris said, Lloyd Christmas shows up. I'm not saying it has anything to do with the Raiders. I just like
they should have Raider owner wig night where they had that wig. Everybody.
Yeah.
Put
one of those wigs. Put one of those wigs on everybody in the black hole out there. That's
Tommy, what were you saying, Tommy?
That photo looks like anyone see Bad Santa, the kid that just follows around, doesn't have any lines.
Yeah.
He looks like the grown-up version of him.
Yeah.
49ers pick is in. What do you got for us, Goodell?
Oh, Asante. Yeah, Asante went to the Chargers. It looks like.
Oh, Dwayne's on the edge of his seat right now.
Oh, D. So, Dwayne, are you a 49er fan or are you a Giant fan?
Yeah, now that you're live and this is going to be recorded, let's make sure
we recorded and it's on live. The world knows.
Notre Dame.
Mike, you know already.
So I just want you
I'm a Niners fan.
I want you to make it official.
Through and through.
You're a Niners fan.
I'm a Niners fan. You know the story.
Yeah,
you know the story. I'm in a house full of Giants fans, so I like the Giants by default. I'm a Niners fan all day long. We need some defensive help right now, man. So hopefully it's a defensive player. We need
Aaron Banks, guard.
Oh, wow.
All right. We need.
That's not defense help.
Yeah.
Some Trey Lance
out there.
Oh, so can I ask Chris like a question? There was another question. So Chris, I know we all are on a dynasty fantasy league.
Uh-huh.
It is the most epic league that ever existed. So this question is about fantasy. Chris is the champion. I was the champion last year, and Keith was the champion before that. Keith is the four-time champion. So Chris, as the acting champion, talk to us about Trey Lance's potential.
Ooh, I like this.
Trey Lance's potential.
Yes, talk to us. I know I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm asking you, tell me about Trey Lance. I got pick 1 and 2, by the way, in the next year's draft. So.
I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth right now.
I actually like Trey Lance's potential. I like the landing spot. I like the ability for like him to grow. Like he has I feel like the highest ceiling, but his floor is pretty low. Like he could just be a bust. But if they say he's like as intelligent as he is, they say he is, and he actually like really does, it really improves his accuracy, and like I feel like he's kind of comparable to, in a way, like, but different, but to Josh Allen, where like some people are low on him and other people are really high on him just because of the potential.
Yeah.
And I think like even without like him achieving that high ceiling, he in fantasy perspective, he probably has a pretty high floor just because of the running ability and like I said, like Josh Allen, like as far as like he could have a bad game, but still like you're guaranteed to get at least that 10 fantasy points floor.
I got
you. Yeah, it's like last year, and Josh Allen last year, obviously we know was great, but even the years before that, when he wasn't as accurate and all that type of stuff, in fantasy world, he was still awesome to have. So I know what you mean, Chris. Like when it comes to fantasy, not the same thing as the NFL there. So wins and losses matter in the NFL, but when it comes to fantasy, you just want those rushing yards, just churn them out. You know, and if Lance is going to get 40 or 50 rushing yards a game, and throw for 200 yards and throw a couple touchdowns. I mean, fantasy-wise, he's going to be killing it. But I always think when it comes to prospects, and I know these NFL draft guys are going to know a lot more than I ever will, is how does a guy like a Josh Allen end up playing where he plays? Like, you know, how is it that people didn't see the college scouts, didn't see this talent where Lance ends up playing at like basically a Division II school, you know? What's up, Mike?
Well,
Rondell Moore went to Arizona.
Oh,
I'll tell you this though.
I knew Keith was gonna like it because I was like,
I'll tell you this though, about
That's a good pick.
about Josh Allen, who went to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills already had their team built. The last thing they're looking for was the quarterback. They got him Stephon Diggs, and Allen was able to take the next step. No other team in the NFL, I think they're not even trying to even develop quarterbacks. They want to see right away, are you the person or not? And we'll move on. I think
I don't think the team was ready. I mean, in a sense, the Bills did the same thing that the Jets were doing, where like, oh, we need to get offensive line help. It's just that the Jets didn't get the offensive line help they needed.
But the Bills were built so much better the year that Allen and Darnold were both drafted. The Bills were light years ahead of the Jets.
They were ahead. Yep. I
know. Well, they definitely had way better.
They weren't. I wouldn't say light years.
The Bills were not light years.
I wouldn't say light years, but they were ahead.
That's not accurate.
They were about a year ahead. They were.
But the thing is that they had that you can't argue with
Neanderthal.
And a much better coach too. I mean, that's not really.
That's
better
the big
coach.
thing.
They had consistency on defense, and they had I think they were 8-8 the year before.
But they had the good players of they had great players at where you needed great players. They had a lockdown cornerback, right? They had help on they had a great defensive line. They had decent receivers, but the greatest thing that they had, like Keith said, is they had the coach. Yeah. And Sam never had the coach.
Watch, Josh Allen's going to go back to being a trash bag this year.
I hope so, because I don't like him, because I thought he was going to be trash.
There's some point that Chris Fox will make a prediction and it'll be right. That's probably not it, but some point I'll say one of those things that'll actually come true. But I want to say yesterday, you know what's funny with the Jets when people pile on? Last night you hear Rich Eisen talking, right? And he's like, yeah, you know, you never see teams. And you guys saw that maybe you were one out watching NFL Network, but I was. He's like, you never see teams. When does a team draft a guy in the first round and then just draft another one 3 years later? As if he forgot the Cardinals, just like Josh Rosen and Murray didn't even happen to him. The production notes, it doesn't stick in there. Like It's like they're just trying to bury the Jets as much as they can. That kind of drives me nuts, those type of things.
Isn't he a Jets fan?
He's a
And he's a Jets fan. That's why. But last night he seemed drunk, or like I said, he ate an edible, something, because he was so bad. He didn't. He was like unprepared. Guys who get drafted, he's like, oh, what now? Like didn't know who they were.
Was this Greeny?
No, Rich Eisen.
No,
Rich
Rich
Eisen.
Eisen.
He was.
Rich Eisen. Yeah.
I was watching on NFL Network, and he was not good. But and I know he's a Jet fan, but he just seems like Greeny and guys like him, and a lot of Jet fans out in the world. They always want to play into this woe is me, negativity, half glass empty stuff. We have no Jet fans like that.
Greeny. When I was done with Greeny a long time ago, but where he really pissed me off was when the Jets were like 0-7 or 0-8, and he puts out this like entire diatribe of Trevor Lawrence, don't come out of college. You don't want to play for this team. Like I wanted to like tear my TV down. You know what? It's not. And if somebody would have just said that, whatever, because they're Jet haters, he's an actual Jet fan saying this. I'm like, yo, you know your platform. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. I mean, if you're actually a Jet fan,
funny?
That's counterproductive, right?
Like, are you trying to be funny? Like, what are you trying to do here? Because what you're doing is you're hurting us.
Yeah.
By saying this the way you're saying it. And it just, people like that just drive me crazy, man.
And you know what I want to ask some of the guys too is when it comes to our boy Pitts here, who went to the Falcons, if you have, Matt Ryan as quarterback, then you're very happy, I guess. Supposed to be this transcendent tight end. And I'm not saying that he's not, but how many years in a row do we keep hearing about these transcendent tight ends that get taken to the top of the first? And they just, I'm not saying that he has to live that pass, that it's his pass, because these guys didn't do well, but it just seems like number 4 pick on a guy that's a tight end. I don't know. I know Mike wasn't the biggest fan of it. Mike's not the biggest fan of that position, kind of like running back, where it seems like it seems like a waste to me to draft it there. What do you guys think? Do you think that was? Let me ask Dan. I know Dan's been patiently waiting there to drop some knowledge on all of us. When it comes to Pitts, do you think that was a smart move for the Falcons? Do you think they should have went quarterback?
I think they should have went quarterback because I think they have to. I think they have to trade Julio Jones because of their cap issues. And I think Matt Ryan needs to be traded next year because of their cap issues. They're in cap hell. So you're going to need to, this was a perfect opportunity for you to pick a quarterback in the top 5. You did trade Julio Jones and, start over. You still have the kid Calvin Ridley from Alabama there. You have young talent there. They just got Hurst. Didn't they just get Hurst, the other tight end? Where did Hurst come from? The other tight end signed. But
he was originally drafted by Baltimore. Yeah, now he's on the Falcons.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do with Pitts now? Pitts has got to be a wide receiver. So is he just going to take the Julio Jones role? Does he just fit into as Julio Jones now? I don't know. If I was them, it's all quarterback for me.
Yeah, it just seems like when you have Matt Ryan, he's 36, and you have a decent roster and a decent team, at least the previous years before that, you're probably not going to end up picking 4th next year if everything goes to plan, everyone's healthy. So what are you're going to just bank on the fact that when Matt Ryan's done, you're going to have someone to come slide in there? I don't know, Mike, when Pitts got taken 4th, I know we weren't that surprised, but let everybody know your opinion on the tight end position in the NFL.
I mean, I just think that they did that because Arthur Smith is like, I don't got that much time left. I want to see a Super Bowl. So go win me one. I think the owner laid out. I'm being honest. Because that's the dumbest thing you could ever do. Look, what the hell are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Your quarterback is old as hell. And he's on the way down, too.
He's not old as hell.
And then not just that, he's expensive. What are you doing? And when's the next time you're going to have a pick this high? It had to be ownership. Arthur saying, I got like 5 years left.
Yeah.
Mike,
I'm going.
Let me ask you this counterpoint, though. Let me ask you this counterpoint, though, Mike. Do you go with Jones from Alabama or Justin Fields at number 4?
Oh, here we go. The Giants.
As the Giants pick is coming in, as Darius Slayton is out there, and the Giant pick.
It's Aziz. You got the defensive end.
Oh, okay.
You got somebody quarterback.
Ojulari, the number 5 player on the AEBG big board, left out there. That's a great pick by the Giants. Good value pick.
If I'm Atlanta, I take Justin Fields all day long.
Absolutely.
End of story. I mean, first thing, I thought San Francisco should have took Justin Fields, in my opinion. But you take Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is from Georgia.
Do you like Fields betting like Mac Jones?
Of course.
Mac Jones is son. I'm glad he went to New England. When they took him, I smiled. I can't wait to see him twice a year because that dude is just, look. Sometimes there's talent that has when you have guys like Jalen Hurd, you got Devontae Smith, you got their offensive line, you got their running back. They have everything, and they have a great coach. And you know what? When you look at Mac Jones, was he good at processing? Yes, he was. Was he accurate within the scheme? He was. But when you get to the next level, you have to take your skills and your ability to perform and execute to the next level. And he is the type of guy I don't think translates well to elite play at the next level. I think he could be decent. Okay. Can he be, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kirk Cousins? Maybe at the top. I don't see him being elite. And then if you look at Tua Tagovailoa, right? What did he do? Okay, he was supposed to be this great, and I get he was hurt. I get that there wasn't a lot around that, but I mean, did he blow your socks off at Alabama?
Well, everything you just said about Mac Jones could be said for Trevor Lawrence too. He's given the keys.
I understand that. You're right.
He performed. And did his job. Put the ball where it needs to be.
You're right.
I personally like Mac Jones, not for the Jets quarterback. I'm stoked on who we got, but I think out of all the quarterbacks falling in the right places, I think he goes from the best program in college going to the best program in the NFL. If we hate it or not, they're on their way down.
I mean, how are they the best program when they cheat?
Yeah, that's not the best. I mean, Bill Belichick's record without Tom Brady.
They are the most disgusting program in all of professional sports. It's not a debate. They are.
I agree with you, but you know what I mean. I think me personally, I like the pocket passer more than Fields, more than.
But Fields is a pocket passer. That is what he is.
But Fields is a pocket passer.
Yeah, he's a pocket. I mean, I know what the thing is when it comes to Mac Jones, his stats. He had the highest quarterback rating in the history of college football. So you can't say, oh, who cares? I understand how accurate he was. Guy had all the tools. You still have to go out there like Chris said and get the job done. I think the difference with the Trevor Lawrence is he started the national championship game as a freshman and played that whole year, and he's played 3 years as a starter, and that's like 3 years of credentials. Where Mac Jones last year, 2019, he played 11 games, only had 14 touchdowns. Last year, played 13 games, 41 touchdowns. That's a big leap. It's similar to Zach Wilson. I'm just saying I'm just talking about statistically. I'm not talking about prospect wise. If you look at Zach Wilson's 2019, now he broke his arm, he got hurt. But then you look at his 2021, 2020, huge jump for him too. So kind of would you take a chance at those guys that shoot up for 1 year? But when Burrow is the same thing, Burrow had one great season. Played pretty good last year, so we'll see, man. I think there's a big chance that Mac Jones will be a bust, but we know he's really, really accurate.
Yeah,
and that's an intangible that you can keep you in the NFL for a really long time, and we know that.
Just straight up.
I think when we talk about Lawrence, Fields, and Jones, there's one thing why I give Lawrence the nod. Keith touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to say this: there was the expectation coming into this season that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a monster at quarterback, and he was. There wasn't any expectations for Mac Jones or Fields, okay? Remember, let's go back to Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. The expectations before they left USC and UCLA respectively was that they would have monster seasons. They kind of underwhelmed a little bit their final year in college, and that followed them into the NFL. So the main reason why I would say Trevor Lawrence is better than Mac Jones and Justice Fields is Trevor Lawrence performed when there were heavy expectations.
The problem that
but hold on a second. Can I say something real quick?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mike. Is that the expectation? No. Justin Fields last year is 51
your
touchdowns.
Boy went the Browns. Jeremiah Owusu went to the Browns.
Right. That's one of my favorite players.
I know.
The best guy left in the draft. But I was going to say, when it comes to expectations, if you're the quarterback at Ohio State and you have 51 touchdowns in 2019, coming into this year, there's not another quarterback with higher expectations in the country. So I don't know what you mean by that. But I know when it comes, Justin Fields was under a microscope. He had one bad game versus Northwestern in his whole career, right? And people were like, oh, they're going to drop him as a prospect. You know, that's how much scrutiny he was under. But I agree with what you said. I just think Justin Fields faced a lot of Ohio State, Alabama. Name schools that are higher level college football programs than those two. There's not many. You know.
I don't think Mac Jones is great. I don't think he's bad. But the one comment I will make about that is that there were 5 other first-round picks from his school in that draft.
Yeah,
last night.
Running backs, wide
what I was
receivers,
saying.
offensive linemen, everyone.
That's what I was trying to say. Like, look at all the talent that he was playing with.
That's the tough part is how to grade somebody that has that much talent around them. How much are they a product? How much are they the facilitator of all that talent, or are they just a byproduct of it?
And then that's when people say, oh, Zach Wilson didn't play against anybody. Well, who the hell was he playing with?
Had nobody to throw to.
Yeah, he had no one to throw to and a horrible offensive line. That's the thing. It's like, it's funny when people make that. I understand that when they talk about schedules. And Mike, we looked it up last year. BYU's schedule was middle of the pack.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they weren't at the bottom of Division I. They weren't at the top. They were right in the middle. Then you look at the year before he played UFC. He played a bunch of good teams that year before. So I mean, that's kind of a misnomer. And when you're a team, a guy that plays, even to give Trey Lance some credit for that. Say you play North Dakota State, he's not throwing a great receivers. He doesn't have a great offensive line. So it's the same thing there. And that's always the tough part. It's like in basketball. When people talk about the greatest, is that Macho Man Randy Savage? What is happening right now?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I got thrown off there. Macho Man is right here, guys. If you want to look, Macho Man pop right behind my shoulder. That's one of my favorites right there. I don't even know what I was talking about. I got so thrown off.
Oh, here we go.
Belt.
Browns pick is in.
He's doing spins. This guy. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. The Browns.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, we wish they already made this.
Hey guys, I gotta check out. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Chris.
Want to
Thanks
say
for
something
joining.
to my fellow.
I think I
SC
just saw
owners.
the belt just now. You should have. How do you?
Oh, he got the belt. Oh, he's got the belt.
Get some.
Yeah, you should have. Don't now. You want to talk about now? I had a year when I had remember my guys in my humble champ campaign. When I was the champion, I was #humble champ all year. Talk no smack. Schleik's the real humble champ. Comes in, has the belt, doesn't even show the belt.
Doesn't even show it.
You know what Mike? Do you know what Mike would have been doing?
doing?
Oh my God.
Where's the trophy? Go get it. Show. I would have had the trophy right next to me the whole time.
The trophy will be for the toasting video.
Okay.
Oh, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the trophy should just be the video, and you just speak from the side. It's just on the trophy the whole time, just to troll everybody. So every
Is
time
D
you
even
speak,
still
they
on
have
here?
to see it. Yeah, D's around.
Creams. I don't know where he went.
I think he
Yeah, Kareem
disappeared.
Oh, we lost.
I'm
Kareem.
actually
Oh,
dipping out too, guys. Let's go.
That's
All
the
right, brother.
closest he's getting to it.
All right, be safe, brother. Thank you, man.
All right, Chris.
Later.
Later. I wish Creams was still on here because we're gonna say we have. Let's see.
JOK just went.
Everyone in this league, everyone here except Tom Terrific. Just so you guys know, he's the guys that shot down an SCFL invitation, and we got Mike Milano. If you guys want to just
Basically, never call me about fantasy football on him and sexual harassment training.
Okay, you're trying to make a joke. I get it. You tried your best. Okay, you tried your best. I'm going to let that joke go and come back to reality now. Okay, you had an offer to join the greatest league of all time. You couldn't handle the pressure. Decided not to. It's fine.
Let me just say,
you want to be on Yahoo, playing jabronis, playing strangers, playing grandmas, playing your friends, playing your family. Knock yourself out. Had a chance to join the big leagues. Didn't
Tom, let me explain.
Sorry
Let me,
if I didn't
Tom,
want to take over the team
let
that
me-
did win a game the year before.
Tom, let me
How did
say.
Milano do? How did Milano do, guys? Just real quick. Everyone just remind him real quick how Milano did with that team.
Pretty well.
Immediately turned the team around. Took him one season.
Even after getting decimated with the worst event that anyone had ever happened to them ever. And we could talk about that later. But Tom, let me give you context.
We have to talk about that. That's the best.
Yeah, no, we will. It's the most ridiculous story of all time.
Tom will be like, what?
No, Tom, I'm going to tell you, go into that. But so I got out of the Navy, and Keith and a couple of my boys were living over in Peekskill. Went to go visit them. We're hanging out. You know, I drive from Connecticut, hang out. One day, me and Keith are just chilling, watching The Sopranos, I think. And he was like, yeah, I'm just getting ready for my draft. And I'm like, and he started telling me about the SCFL. And he tells me it's a 16-man team, full team keeper, all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh, I want in. And he's like, son, it's, it doesn't come around. And so every year I'd be harassing him all the time. Like, Keith, is anybody there? Keith, can I get in? You know what I'm saying? I'd ask Jimmy, what's good? And they're like, no, son, for years. And then finally one day Keith calls me. I'll never forget. I was in college in English class. He's like, yo, son, we got an opening, son. I'm like, what? He's like, son, but the team is trash. There's no quarterbacks. Now, this is a dual QB league, okay?
Yeah.
Dual QB. QB is the most important position on the team. I took over a team with no QBs, none,
Literally.
zero, and I had two good players, and it was Des Bryant and it was Vernon Davis. Okay, and I traded Des Bryant for Mark Sanchez. All right, so I started in the absolute bottom, and I just wanted to get in. Now, fast forward, Scampoli gets in. You know, Wookie gets in.
Everybody
Okay,
basically
we all
saying
get
had
in.
the same route.
Okay. Whoa, Dan comes in talking trash. Day one, I'm like, I text Keith, like, who the fuck is this? Excuse my language. Who is this dude coming in here running his mouth like he is? He's like, yo, that's Dan. Okay. Now, Dan had to learn quickly that the league it's hard. It's tough. Okay. He did hold his own. He's made the playoffs. He's actually he's actually very good at fantasy football. So Mike Milano comes along. Dan has Andrew Luck. Okay. Andrew Luck. He has. Now, Milano comes in and he has all of the first round.
And just for context, this is the team, everyone who is out there listening, this is the team Tom would have taken over.
Tom would have taken over.
Milano comes in, takes him over, and then this happened to him.
Milano has the number one pick. Milano takes Kyler Murray, number one, right? Or no, he didn't have the number one pick.
That.
I'm sorry. He had the number one pick. He didn't have a quarterback. So Dan trades Andrew Luck like to Milano, real very close to our draft. And so Milano gets Andrew Luck and Dan gets the number one pick and a couple of other things, right? So Milano feels real happy. He's like, wow, I just did my first trade. I got Andrew Luck. He gets rid of all his draft capital that he had. And then that happened at 10:25 a.m. That trade. It was in the morning. I remember this because I was like, oh shit, he traded.
It was Saturday
Andrew
morning,
Luck.
right?
No,
Saturday morning, right?
And then that evening, we look up at the screen. Andrew Luck retires.
Can you can't make this
done.
up.
Oh my God.
You can't make this
I
up.
don't even know you don't understand. He just traded everything.
Yeah.
His whole everything for
in a
Andrew
dynasty league where you
Luck.
can't get it back. Yeah.
And Dan was nowhere to be found because Dan felt so bad what happened. He couldn't even.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just envisioning the Homer
retired.
Simpson gif going into the bushes when that happened. Dan was just like, nope, not involved in this. Now, mind you, Dan had no control over this. It wasn't his fault. It's just sometimes timing was right. There's never been better timing on any trade that's ever happened than that trade.
It
Right
gives me
there.
goosebumps. Huh?
Dan, do you have a comment on that, Dan? What occurred there to Milano? He's not here to defend himself.
Well, what else? What else did you get in that trade?
I would like to not comment on this trade.
Oh, it's that bad.
It was bad. Oh, it was bad.
This is like
I'll give Milano credit.
I honestly
because-
thought he was going to quit. I did. I thought Milano was just going. I'm not doing this.
Well, it was almost not fair. And that first year he had a rough time, and last year his team was really good. I should say his team was pretty good. He's one of the better teams in his conference. So only took him a couple years to turn around. That's the thing. In our league, you start from the bottom. You know, you don't just get handed some great team. I guess that's what Tom Terrific wanted here when he shot us down. But Woogie got the call at some point in his life. Guess what he did? Stepped up to the plate. Michael Agaris got the call. Guess what he did? Stepped up to the plate. Dan Scampoli came to my house. We had a conference. Stepped up to the plate. Okay, that's what you
got to do it.
You know, and like, I'll tell you what, we probably all have more gray hairs because of this league. Probably better for your heart rate, your life to not be in it. I understand that. I'm not going to
chat. The chat is just craziness.
Yeah, it's mean. It's one of the meaner chats.
Now
that
let me
exists.
ask you this question though, because one of the issues I get is I feel like sometimes I'm in too many fantasy leagues.
Yeah.
Where I get it where in one league I have, let's say, one guy and I'm against him in another league.
Yeah.
And I think at that point I was already in 3 fantasy leagues.
Yeah, that's what you said. You were like, oh, I'm in too many leagues. You created some world where you're too busy, which is just, if I a lie detector tested you right now, you'd fail it because you're not too busy. You just couldn't handle it. You could say whatever excuses you want. You're live now.
Probably drop
you
out
live.
of the
And-
other leagues.
Now, mind you, he might have been in too many leagues, and I get that because it is stressful when you're in many leagues.
Yeah.
I'm in no other leagues besides one. So, I mean, if
This
there's
was my
like
only league.
it's basically like someone being like, I could play Division 1, but I'd rather be in 5 minor leagues. It's too
So
stressful.
if you're going to be in a league, Tom, let me just put it to you this way.
Yes.
So I worked for General Electric a couple of years back. I was in a meeting with the customer. I shouldn't be
Oh,
saying this.
meeting status.
With the customer.
I'm a stockholder of GE. Guys.
Probably
Okay.
shouldn't be
Oh.
saying that.
I shouldn't be saying. And so
Mike
I
said
don't work for
shouldn't
them.
be
I don't work for
saying.
them. I don't work for
So
them
many
anymore.
different
I don't
fucking-
work for them anymore. I
You're
don't work
good,
for
you're
them. So it's okay. I'm in the meeting with a customer. Okay, and I see on my phone. I'm sitting at the desk. We're talking about, and my phone flashes. A running back just got became available. I forgot exactly how and who it was. It was Dan's rookie year, I believe it was. And I literally at the table was just like, hey guys, I got to just use the bathroom real quick. Left the meeting just right outside the door. Whoop! Added him. Went, washed my hands, came back. Hey, sat down like that. Like stopped work to do a transaction, because if you don't, they get gripped in a second. And cats like Dan on 24/7. He knows he's on Twitter like me. I get the updates immediately. So if something happens, I got to grip a cat immediately.
Now, what was this? They were released from their actual NFL team or released from the league? Because is there a waiver wire or is it
So
just
there's a waiver wire?
Yeah, there's a waiver wire. And so if somebody, so someone that was a free agent gets picked up. That's what would happen. And I think it was, I forgot who it was. So you could have like a backup running back, and then they trade that backup running back to another team, and now that running back's a starter, and that dude was free agent on the bench, and now he's a starting running back. You have to, in seconds, you have to go get that guy. Or there's an injury, right? So Sam Darnold. So Dan got me here. I was in a meeting and I couldn't leave like this because I was stuck. Sam got mono, and I tried to go pick up Luke. And it took me 3 minutes to get to my phone. I got to my phone, he was gone. And he was in freaking Dan's backlog.
Yeah.
That's how it's ridiculous.
I knew he had mono before he knew he had mono.
Because he gave it to him.
Jan gave him mono. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Getting back to the NFL draft here now, I see they're trying to have the wildest, stupidest looking fans of every single fan base show up on
Colts
stage.
pick
Right
is
now.
in apparently. Antoine Bethea is making the pick right now.
Isn't this the area you would almost see Mond and Trask go? They're like, this is the bottom round.
Did Mills get taken already from Stanford?
Actually, Pittsburgh, that's a good thing that you said that Pittsburgh's coming up next. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm taking Mond.
Yeah, you could. I mean, Mills too, man, from Stanford's solid too. And Trask, like you said, Trask got some games at the end of the year there. If you look at all the biggest schools that Florida played, he put up 400 yards, 4 touchdowns every time. It was insane. It's college football, I get it, but SEC is the SEC. I mean, he seems like somebody that could have a really good NFL career, but he's going to get snagged here in the second or third round.
You would think Pittsburgh is going to pick quarterback next, no?
You know what's funny? Kyle Trask is like the size of Big Ben. When he's like 6'6", 255 or something. It's like drafting another Big Ben, just more accurate. Big Ben's not really that accurate a quarterback. I guess I shouldn't say that. He got more accurate.
I wouldn't be surprised they go Trask.
Yeah, he's got more accurate as his career went on. Big Ben throwing those short passes. Last year, I think the yards per completion was like 6 yards for Big Ben. So he keeps it all around the line of scrimmage. If you have any of the receivers in Steeler land, unfortunately, they went from maybe having 1,200 yards to 800 yards last year, which is what it is. But I mean, Trask has a cannon and a half. That dude.
Steelers were on the clock for about 5 seconds, and the pick was in.
Okay, then.
Oh God,
is that saying something? Or whoever
it's
was
Mond or Trask. It's got to be right.
No, it could be the kid from Stanford. It could be the kid.
Who's this? The Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh was on the clock for about. It said it started the clock and then the pick was in.
And they grabbed Najee round 1. So
yeah.
I don't know. That'd be interesting if they went with a quarterback.
They need line help. They need a line help.
But I do know, guys, we've heard Big Ben say at the end of a couple years ago, oh man, I see the end coming. I don't know how much longer I'm going to play. Rivers just retired, right, guys?
Yeah.
So Rivers done. Eli Manning's done. How many guys are going from that draft still? Not many. So I think Big Ben, the end is near here for Big Ben.
Yeah.
I just think kind of the way he played throughout his career, you saw him we tried to move around last year. He can't do much on the field when it comes to running the ball, scrambling the ball. Some of the attributes that made him really good in the past, he doesn't have those anymore. He's still a good quarterback. But I think they would make sense for them to grab a QB here, the Steelers. But They seem to, whatever they do, the Steelers, I'll say this. It's kind of like the Ravens, man. The Ravens have been good for a really long time since Ozzie Newsome got there because he just knows how to draft, right? He knows how to draft, doesn't waste his money in free agency. Steelers are in that same kind of boat. They stay relevant. I know Big Ben's been there for a while, but on defense, on offense, it kind of seems like if they make 7 picks, they're probably going to hit on 4 or 5 of them every year. You know, where I always would see for years the Jets make 7 picks, 8 picks, and, you know, one of them is remotely good or 3 years later, none of them are on the team anymore. But it doesn't really happen to the Steelers that much. So I'm interested to see what they do here because they.
Oh, Freemuth.
Oh, they got the
with
tight end.
ends.
Yep.
Okay.
They took
We know
the tight
Big
end.
Benjamin loves
Wow.
the tight ends.
Kid from
Wow,
Penn
and
State.
And he went to Penn State. Yeah, he's probably the second best tight end, definitely in the draft. Definitely the second best tight end in the draft. Went to Penn State. Had some great stats at Penn State. Second most productive tight end after Pitts in the draft. So, yeah, I guess that is a hole for them. They didn't have any great tight ends last year, right?
I thought they needed more line help, to be honest. But I mean, okay.
Didn't they
That's
get
what's
the kid? Didn't Pittsburgh have Ebrom? Didn't they bring in
I
Ebrom?
think so, right?
Yeah, they did.
I'm a little shocked. I thought they were going to go quarterback here, but I guess
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's funny, man. These dudes, I mean, I don't think any of these guys, statistically at least, has a resume like Trask. And you're down there playing at Florida. It's like you look at, you know, they didn't have as much success, obviously. I'm not comparing them, but Trask, look at his stats, and you look at like Tim Tebow's, like this isn't even comparable. He blows him out of the water. And he's 6'6", he's 250, this dude. So interesting, man, that he's still on the board. Mills is still on the board. Mond is still out there. So someone's going to snag one of these guys, and one of those guys will end up on an SCFL team next year. You know that for sure.
Yeah,
we got
Mond
Seattle on the clock right now.
Right, Mond's another SEC guy from Texas A&M. He had okay stats.
Yep.
So
listen
Keith,
to this. Go ahead.
Yeah, what are we doing at cornerback, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I think, you know what I think is going to happen? I think the draft's going to shake out. I mean, there's corners left. There's some guys out there. I don't know if, you know, Dan, what's his name? Melon Fonwu or something got drafted by the Raiders a couple years ago. His brother plays at Syracuse. I don't know how to say his last name.
Yeah, he just got dropped. Obi Mellon. He went to wasn't he a Connecticut kid?
I think he played in Connecticut. His brother plays at Syracuse. And his brother's in this draft, 6'3", he's 213, Mike. I haven't been looking on my screen, so, you know, I don't know if he got drafted or not because I'm trying to just look at you guys and talk. But he's somebody, Mike, that some people had as the Jets taking. I had a couple mocks I looked at with the Jets taking him with their pick at the top of the second round.
Really?
So there's some okay corners still out here. But with the way we're you know, kind of geared up right now, we got Bless, we got Hall, we got Gidget, we got all the young guys. Maybe this shakes out, Mike, that they go through this draft, they sign all these rookies, you see how much money you have left, and they bring in a Richard Sherman, you know, to be that veteran in there with all those young guys. I know Sherman's still looking for a team. And when he last full season he played, he did make the Pro Bowl. I'm not saying Richard Sherman is as fast or as good as he used to be. He's still better than most corners. I think that makes sense. If financially it made sense, you say they don't come away with anyone in this draft, Mike. What do you think about that? If they went ahead and brought Sherman in, you have Hall, you have Bless, you have Gidry, who you like in the slot. We have Ashton Davis back there at safety. A ton of young guys. I think they need some more veterans in that cornerback room.
Yeah, I would be very excited to bring on Mr. Sherman just from a leadership perspective. I don't know if he's going to be a lockdown corner, like you said. He's a little older, but I think that he's sorely needed, and we do need the help. I know there's Nelson who's also out there, a cornerback, and I'm sure that Douglas could, you know, wheel and deal for a corner if he really needed one. There are some corners out there with a heavy price tag that some teams are probably looking to move if the right price is there. So we'll see what Joe Douglas isn't done, but I look at the team now, and just my biggest concern is was inside line, and now it's corner. So
Can I read you guys some wild stats? You want to hear some crazy stats real quick from Kyle Trask? Listen to this, guys. The first game last year, Florida plays Ole Miss, 416 yards and 6 touchdowns. Okay, so just follow me here. They play Texas A&M, another great school. Texas A&M ranked 20th then. 312 yards, 4 touchdowns for Trask. They play Georgia, who's ranked 5th in the country at that time, 474 yards, 4 touchdowns against Georgia. Okay, he plays Alabama. Okay, SEC in the Cotton Bowl, 408 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, this dude, every big game they played this season, they played Tennessee, 433, 4 touchdowns. They played LSU, 474, he had 2 touchdowns. Like, that kid's like, I know numbers aren't everything, Mike. And we just talked about it a moment ago, but man, this dude's like, if there was fantasy college football, that dude's blowing everybody out of the water.
I think maybe he goes to the right place, and who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look, Russell Wilson went in the 3rd round?
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins was a 4th round pick.
And who was that quarterback they signed that year? But then Russell Wilson just replaced him immediately. Remember, it was the backup
Matt
on
Flynn.
Green Bay.
Matt Flynn.
That's what it was. Matt Flynn had that game on Monday Night Football where he threw like 5 TDs or whatever.
6 touchdowns, and then that won him $38 million. That one game.
Remember that offseason? Everyone's like, Matt, and I guess he looked great, but he was in a nice little environment there. God bless him, like the Wook said. He got replaced immediate though. That's that stuff. That's stuff.
Hey, Tom, in our SCFL league, I went ahead and traded away Saquon Barkley, and I traded him away. Got assets for it, helped me with draft positioning. But the reason why I traded him away is because I had a problem with your running back. Your running back to me was supposed to be Barry Sanders. I drafted him to be Barry Sanders. That's what I was told. That's what I was sold.
Okay.
His first year, he did great.
Yes.
His second year, he was injured intermittently, but at the end he came on strong, helped me win my championship.
Like great at the end of the year.
At the end of the year. That's why I won straight up.
Beast
Okay.
mode.
And then 3rd year, first game was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment to football. That what he did in that game. He had 1 yard or something like that. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, what the? And I'm going through terrible times at that point. I start losing quarterback. And I got Barkley giving me 2 yards a game. Okay. And then he gets hurt. I'm like, are we serious? So I saw you guys picked up his 5th-year option. I want to know from you, what is your confidence level that Saquon Barkley is going to be what we all expect him to be?
I think this is where the key word is expectations. Because he came in, I believe he had 1,800 all-purpose yards. And the one knock, he almost is exactly like Barry Sanders in this way, where he'll run for no yards for 20 plays, but he has that 160-yard run or that 160 yard play.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I watched him a lot. So I know. You're right. You're absolutely right.
So that's kind of like the issue with the Giants. I think too, it's absolutely a smart idea that they're betting is like, you know what? He tore his ACL. We'll see how he comes back. Remember, Wayne Gallman had a career year. All the Giants' offensive line got a lot better.
He played good, Gallman. You're right, dude.
He did.
Wayne Gallman had a career year.
Yeah.
And remember, like I mentioned it earlier, the Giants were 6-2 when they ran for over 100 yards.
Yeah.
This was an offense that had no weapons. People think Evan Engram was a Pro Bowler. I believe there were 7 or 8 interceptions from Daniel Jones where Evan Engram was the target.
Yeah.
Evan Engram was a lot of the turnover issues for Daniel Jones. That's one thing that has not come up. He looks on paper great. Evan Engram, he has the size, the speed. Let's not forget the drop on Thursday night where Daniel Jones puts it right between them.
Wow.
That cost them it ended up costing them the division.
Yeah, you're right, dude.
You're right.
To say the least.
Absolutely.
And that's something to look at where, going back to Saquon Barkley, though, I think this will be the best offensive line he's had.
Yeah.
They have multiple weapons because I think coming into that game against Pittsburgh, Saquon Barkley was the only person you were afraid of. That was the person you needed to key on, and that's what happened. And I think, the Giants did not draft a running back yet. I don't see them drafting a running back. I see.
Are you going to pay him? You're going to pay him Ezekiel money? Because the moment you gave Ezekiel money, he just became Teddy Ruxpin.
I'm not giving him
not
Ezekiel.
yet. No,
that's what happened. And then, you Melvin Gordon, these guys, they get their money and then they turn over.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, you can look at maybe character, to say the least. I really think when you look at Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott, their best chance to win a Super Bowl was their rookie years because they had Pro Bowlers all around. And I think they picked up their 5th year so that if Saquon Barkley does play like everyone expects him to, they got him locked up for a 5th year. And that's when I think they negotiate. This is going to be the put up and shut up year, I think, for Saquon Barkley too. And also you got to look at, do you pay Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones? Can he play one or the other?
So
and which one do you go forward with?
So Dan, I'm hearing a lot from these Giant fans like Nick and now Tom. I'm hearing this theme called put up or shut up. That's what I'm hearing, like across the board from the G-men. So Dan, if the Giants don't make the playoffs, what shouldn't this whole put up, shut up thing, they got to make the playoffs, right? After all
gotta be some ramifications.
There gotta be some ramifications. You agree, Dan?
It's all on Daniel Jones. I mean, let's be honest.
That's the ramifications. That's the guy that would be history.
Yeah.
You know,
Daniel Jones is the one that's going to take the heat on this. Not going to be the coach. It's not going to be Edelman. It's
weird. It's weird how Daniel Jones always looks like a deer in headlights at all moments when they're speaking to him. It's weird because he's tremendous, but when you see him talk, Eli seemed like way sharper than this kid. You know, he's the kid that you played sports with growing up who just knew how to play sports. You know, he had Velcro sneakers on because he's like, I learned how to tie my shoes. You know, like that's what he seems like. Baller, but not the sharpest tool in the shed, at least articulation wise. Okay, he might be smart as hell, but does that matter on the field? No. But I do know this, like Mike said, when you have Saquon Barkley as your running back, an improved offensive line, Tom touched on it. I think your Giants offensive line is decent enough. Probably the best offensive line they had in a good defense. Okay. They loaded up on offense with weapons. They just drafted you a receiver. They have Ingram, who has been underwhelming, Tom Tariff, but is also a pretty good tight end, at least getting separation on routes and stuff like that. Has the drops. I get it. But he is a matchup problem when he's playing well. So, I mean, when you look at Daniel Jones, you're like, damn, if he doesn't ball next year, I don't mean like the Giants. I'll say this. Say the Giants go 10-6 to win the division, but his QB rating is like an 80, and he still is the reason they're not maybe 12-4. The way the NFL is now, who knows if he's back for the year after that? Man, people move on quick now. Darnold got moved on quick. Josh Rosen, we know how it is in the NFL 2021, guys. If you don't produce now, you're not going to have a job for very long.
Rams just took Atwell.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks took Eskridge, too. They took another receiver.
They took another receiver. And by the way, Keith, you remember my top 5 cornerbacks? My 5th cornerback, my fifth favorite was Aaron Jones.
Yes.
Remember? He's still on the board.
Still on the board, huh, Michael?
He's still on there. He's that speed guy I told you about.
Yeah, we're almost right here at the end of the second round here. I think we're getting close to it at least. Yeah, I mean, I
said Aaron Jones. I'm sorry, Aaron Robinson.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's funny when you look at team needs, and I said this to a bunch of my friends the other day. It's like every team need for every team, or like 80% of the teams, it says edge and it says cornerback.
Son, this dude Tutu Atwell, that Rams cat. This is the dude that's small. Yes, the bantamweight cat.
Yeah, literally one
Smith.
Yeah, he's a UFC lightweight right now. He'd be 5 pounds under the weight limit.
Little dude, man. Look at him. He's tiny little dude.
Now, not that guy can't ball, but if that dude is running as fast as he runs, and then he's going for the end zone, and the safety's running at 6'2", 230 speed, I don't know. Like, you guys have seen car accidents,
decapitation.
Right? Yeah, like when the bigger car runs into the smaller car, there's destruction. That happens to the human body as well. So he's a little guy.
You go look for him.
He's the littlest little dude. I think he's the smallest cat in the NFL. He's tiny.
Let's be honest, though, the Rams have all midget wide receivers. Woods.
Oh, you can't say midget, Dan.
They're all
tiny. They're small people, small little humans, and it's like I think it's funny, man. I don't know if you guys saw this week. Did you guys see McVay? And we mentioned this about a month ago, but for some reason he did it again in some interview this week, where he just buries Goff. And he's basically like, this guy, the reason I get rid of him, he just can't read routes. I'm like, what? Like, I said an article.
Rid of him.
Yeah, he's like,
he said that?
Okay, I'm
straight
paraphrasing. Pause. I'm paraphrasing. Okay. But if you take your phones out and you type in McVay and just the word Goff and hit enter and look at news and Google, he's had this interview came out, and he said this before, where he said he just doesn't think, or it came out, he's just not good at reading defenses. And he wanted this guy gone even like before last year. And they were coming off a Super Bowl. So it's funny, man. It's like, coaches know if the guy has it or doesn't have it. And even though Goff, they were tremendous that year, their defense was ridiculous. Great running back with Gurley. Offensive weapons there are really, really good. It always seemed like, damn, Goff's not like, I never felt like he was like super elite, even though he got to the Super Bowl. And I never felt that way with him. Obviously, the they didn't feel that way either. The Rams, they sent him packing. Also, McVay didn't even want to start him last year in that playoff game when he came back from injury. He was trying to start that backup guy. I forget what his name is. The dude who was like having to run there those last few games. I don't know. Not a big fan, but you don't normally see a coach, former coach, talking about a player once he sends them packing. So Detroit fans can't be liking that. They've been dealt a rough hand. Detroit fans.
Goff is a scrub.
No, I know. Mike, like when you say you go to like a support group for other people that have been beaten down sports wise.
Yeah.
There's gonna be Lions fans in there with us.
Yeah.
Okay? There's gonna be Browns fans. There's gonna be
Lions.
Raiders. There might be a few Raider fans sprinkled in, Dan. You faced some torture as well. So
the Lions fans are Meatloaf from Fight Club.
Exactly. That's them in the equation. And unfortunately, if you've never been to the Super Bowl, which I believe the Browns and Lions have never been, you're at the bottom. The Jets are almost there too. We're right there. You guys are at the bottom now. And I remember going to a Browns game once, and I went to a Brown game once, and someone was talking smack, and I was like, "Are you really serious, Browns fan?
I do.
Is that what you're doing right now? Stop it."
I do. Hey, Keith, I do have a bone to pick with Dan Scampoli.
Go ahead. Oh, here we go.
So I do have a bone to pick with him because I'm going to get this shit clear right now. So I mentioned like it's really I heard we said our name is Ain't Easy Being Green because it ain't easy being green. The Jets weren't the worst team in the NFL this year, but the moment you say Jets, everybody's just like, oh, the jokes. The Jaguar, you don't hear the Jaguars being called anything like that, right? But you hear the Jets as the back joke or whatever. And they always get that type of treatment, okay, as Jet fans. We never, our teams never went 0-16. Never. We were close this year. We were like, oh my goodness, but it hasn't happened. But our franchise is treated like it is one of those, okay, as Jet fans. And I mentioned that it's hard being a Jet fan, that obviously our moniker ain't easy being green. Tough, but we love our team no matter what, right? But Dan tries to come at me like being a Raider fan is just as difficult. Don't ever say something like that to us because the Raider brand is respected, okay? Yes, you may not have won a Super Bowl in a long time. You have 3 of them, I think. Your team may not be great and you may have had bad seasons, but your brand and your mark, like you don't get treated like how Jet fans do. So when you try to equate the two and say that it's just as hard being a Raider fan, no, sir, it's not. Not even close. You're not. Okay.
Can I chime in as a neutral person?
Well, let Dan go first here. I want to hear what he has to say.
Who's had a worse 20-year period here?
That's not what it has nothing.
Definitely the Raiders.
Here's why I'm asking. Because I agree with you. Before about 2001, these are different class organizations. The Jets are considered a joke. The Raiders were considered a good organization. They won 3 Super Bowls. They had winning records. I get it. But after 2001, when Al Davis started to go crazy and we started to lose and we started to pick Jamarcus Russell, and remember the whole Lane Kiffin thing where he fired him on ESPN Live with the projector screen? So that's where we started to become a joke because all of a sudden the Raiders became a joke. So if you're a 20-something kid or if you're in that area, you never know the Raiders were ever that organization. You just know them as being a joke.
Yeah.
And that's what I've lived with for the past 20 years. I'll never put myself in your category with the Jets history, because it's unfair if you look at it. And I think you guys get a lot of jokes sent your way, just like I do, but you guys get a lot of jokes
because it's New York too, man.
Yeah,
that's what it is. I mean, when you look, like Dan said, 2001, the Jets and the Raiders, I think that's the year they played in the playoffs. Yeah, you guys.
Right.
Beat us
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
you're right.
So,
you're right. Yeah.
So, but if you go through the 2000s, 2002, 2004, 2006, 2009, 2010, Jets made the playoffs. Right. That's in a 10-year span. They made the playoffs a whole bunch of times. And that was not that long ago. It's been 10 years, so we kind of forget about it. So, and as far as the most recent history, Not that the Jets' history been great. We have 10 years of not making the playoffs. Previous 10 years pretty good. Parcells era is pretty good. Al Groh even went 9-7. So I mean, we've had it's basically the post Joe Namath era up until basically Parcells. A few little pops on the radar there with Ken O'Brien in the 80s, where the Jets were decent enough, went to the playoffs, and then all the way to Vinny Testaverde and Chad Pennington, and then just blacked out for a couple of years there with Sanchez. But I know what Mike's saying. Mike's saying when it comes to, and Mike's one of those people that type of stuff does bother. Jokes and all these things and headlines and stuff. And he'll get mad about it, as he should. We're good fans. He loves his team. I look at that more of a byproduct of the fact that the Jets are the Jets. They've had a lot of horrible things happen. They also play in New York. It makes you be a target, when you're a New York team. People, when you have the Giants playing in your same city and then you're the Jets, it makes it easier for people to say, oh, you guys are the inferior team, or whatever the case may be. I totally get it. But it's hard, Mike, to judge, I would say, other fan bases, torture they've gone through when we're not in their shoes. But
Keith just went through last show about how this whole thing about how Jets ruining quarterbacks, right? And then when you really think about it, if you take all the first round picks the Jets have taken, 6 or now 7, but we won't count Zach yet, 6, and you take all of their postseason wins, like their success, it's actually pretty decent. I mean, Joe Namath has the Super Bowl.
Richard
and
Todd
multiple
went to the
playoffs
playoffs twice.
Richard Todd went to the playoffs. Ken O'Brien went to the playoffs. Chad Pennington went to the playoffs multiple years.
Sanchez
went to the
AFC
playoffs, and Sam was the dud. So
Yeah.
5 out of the 6 have postseason wins, and 1 has a Super Bowl. Now go ahead and grab me other first round quarterbacks from other franchises and post their postseason numbers, right? But the Jets are a joke.
That was my
right?
point. That was kind of my point last week, where nobody on the planet would argue the Jets have some great quarterback history. Of course we don't. There's no argument to be made there. But when there's the misnomer that they draft quarterbacks and then ruin them, when they've had over 800 draft picks and they drafted 7 now quarterbacks in the first round ever of all those picks, and a couple of guys in the second round, like a Geno Smith, a Hackenberg, a Brownie Nagel, like the Jets are the only team that their second round picks they don't hit on, get lumped into the mix, right?
Yeah.
Every other team, no one gives a shit if you miss on a second round pick. With the Jets, though, it's like, oh my God, Brownie Nagel, Geno Smith. Geno Smith was a second round. Christian Hackenberg was the worst pick of all time. Don't get me wrong. He couldn't even play in the XFL. But with his situation, he's not a scrub. It's the Jets' fault somehow.
Who was that Oregon quarterback that was a scrub that we took end of 2010?
I think it was Kellen Clemens.
Kellen Clemens. I saw his graphic up there. Oh, look at all the failed quarterback. We took him in like the 5th round or something. Kellen Clemens. He did Geno, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was second round, but he was like pick 5th.
Or second round, yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, it's easy. You have to sometimes search for those things to make the narrative worse, right? So you dig into it. And like I said, no one would think the Jets quarterback history is good because it's not. Joe Namath won a Super Bowl, and Joe Namath's stats are what they are. He threw 220 interceptions. I don't think anyone thinks statistically he's some great quarterback. He's not in the Hall of Fame because of that. If anyone knows anything about the NFL, he's in the Hall of Fame because at that time the leagues merged, right? Jets were the biggest underdog of all time. AFL is looked at as an inferior league, and they upset the Colts. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame, besides the prediction that he put in there. But Mike, we did the math, and Joe Namath played 13 years. Richard Todd played 10 years. Ken O'Brien played 10 years. Chad Pennington played 11 years. That's 4 first-round picks. They played over 40 years in the NFL, multiple playoff periods between all of them, right? So on paper, if it wasn't the Jets, then I told you that. Right. Take away the Jets, and no one knew what team. Blind survey. And I was like, look at this. And people would be like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty efficient. Not that they won, but I'm saying it's not as bad as people say it is. But with the Jets, it is what it is, man. We get what we get, man.
Oh, Terrence Marshall went to the Panthers.
It'll always be an easy target. It's just lazy writing. It's an easy joke.
Yeah.
That's exactly
nice. Go ahead, Tom.
My question is, though, too, who are people bringing this up? Are they fans from outside of New York?
Exactly. That's usually, now, more often than not. Now, the thing is, too, I've seen Rich Cimini. I've seen real New York writers act like that's a thing. Where I'm like, wow, I don't, like I said a moment ago, you can't argue the Jets have a good history at any position or have a good history as a franchise. They don't. I think they're 26th or 27th in winning percentage in NFL history, right? I'm not pretending like that. I'm just saying what article, and the one we're referencing here, Tom Terrific, is a guy who he wrote for a paper in Utah, and the article was about how the Jets ruin these draft picks and Joe Namath is overrated, this and that. I get what he's doing. He's trolling.
Yeah.
It's low hanging fruit. You say that, and then people in New York, the biggest media market on the planet, look at it. They click on it. You get views. I get what he's trying to do. But the thing is this: the people like I don't understand. People from Utah, writers from Utah that are trying to take shots at the Jets, don't realize this one thing. All that happens every single day in the papers in New York, thousands of papers, is people taking shots at the Jets. Writers do it.
Yeah.
Pundits do it. Fans do it. Jet fans are more angry, more mean-spirited towards this team than that moron from Utah will ever be. Okay,
Right.
we're flying planes over practices, okay? We know the deal. You can't say anything about the Jets or their fans or Joe Namath or their quarterback history that will have an effect on any Jet fans. We'll
Right.
be like, okay, sure, dude. Do you know what our papers look like every single day that we read? Do you know what it looked like when Gase was here for 2 years? Pick a paper up. Jets would get murdered. They'd bring in the history of the Jets. You know, you're like, wow, man, they're really getting every single facet. There's no way anyone could attempt from outside our world to do it as effectively as we do in New York. But those usually, I mean, you do see people from outside of where we're at take shots at the Jets, and I get it.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense. I take shots at plenty of teams, and maybe I don't know the history as well, so I understand it. What we're here to do on AEBG is just educate people, man. You know, there's people walking around right now. There's people walking around right now. They think the Earth's flat, man. They think it. Maybe no one sat them down. Maybe no one's like, dude, do you know that an eclipse is a thing? So if the Earth's flat, how could there be an eclipse? You know, like just simple things, you know, like ones that make, like, well, how does magnetism work in North and South Pole if it's not spherical? What are you talking about? No one sat him down. Maybe some idiot never knew the Jets quarterbacks weren't as bad, but now they do.
Well, I think too, you mentioned the Jets quarterbacks. Didn't they have Vinny Testaverde winning?
Yeah, but he was
We were just talking about draft picks.
Yeah, we're talking about draft picks.
They've had guys have some small success. Like Fitzpatrick had a year he was good. Vinny had a couple good years.
I think he's solid.
No,
Chad
that's the one guy I referenced. Chad Pennington. Injuries aside, Chad Pennington got the Jets to the playoffs 3 times. He was only here for 7 years.
And that's what's kind of exciting about this kid Zach Wilson, because if somehow in some universe this kid is actually good, I mean, he's not only going to be. See, here's the thing about the Jets: like, we've been bad for so long that if they are actually good, and we actually have like a fucking good excuse my language, a good quarterback, like, he's going to be a rock star, dude. Like, he's going to be a rock star, and he could play the part. I mean, he already signed with Nike and all this stuff. I don't know how he's going to be. I don't know. But
he's got the on face, man.
He's got that. He's got the attitude. And I just don't know what that feels like. The closest I've had to that is Chad Pennington. That should show you where we're at with this. Yeah. Chad was, I've had to fight with people.
It's true, because you think about it, dude. Like, when Sanchez was out there playing, you never watched the game with him as our Q and felt totally comfortable.
Oh no.
You never were like, oh, we got this. He's not going to turn the ball over. Not going to do something stupid. Fitzpatrick that 1 year was the first quarterback, 2015 or 16, first quarterback to ever throw for more than 30 touchdowns on the Jets ever, right? Great year. The next year turned back into a pumpkin. He was a scrub. Even when he was playing, we never felt like, oh, we got this year. We're great. Because, it's like we've had guys pop on the radar here and there, but no one who has any sustained success. And that's why, to Chris Fox's point earlier, we thought Sam was going to be this guy. If the Jets can just draft a dude that's just, I know he won a Super Bowl, but I'm going to use this example. Say they have a guy that's like a Joe Flacco, who just is the quarterback for 10 years here, gives us some stability. He's decent enough. He's like an Eli Manning. Always know he's going to be pretty good. That would be huge for the Jets, because, like Mike said, we don't know what that's like in a long time. Chad is the last guy we drafted that was here for a little bit. And Chad, we know his injuries kind of affected his career.
So what do you think about David Carr and Scampoli's issue? Because David plays well. David plays well, but they're like this. They just stay stagnant, and he throws up good stats. Like, I would be happy if I had a David Carr. Like, guy throws his quarterback rating was what was it last year? 100. His passer rating was, what was it? Like a 101 or
it was above 100, and he had low interceptions. You know what? Derek just puts up good stats, and yes, you would want a guy that has those kind of stats. The problem is, and this is where it gets frustrating, because the Jets won't have this, because the Jets always have a decent defense, They're just, and with Salah, you'll always have that kind of toughness on defense. I feel like he brings it. He almost comes with it in San Francisco as his aura, where you guys know you're going to have some toughness, which Gruden does not have. He doesn't have that on the defensive side. So if you have that in your quarterback, if he's putting up numbers like Derek, you guys are going to be in a good spot for a long time.
Yeah, his quarterback rating, highest of his career last year, 101.4.
That's
for Derek
good.
Carr, man. And
I'd
he's
take that.
we've talked about this, Dan, many times. He seems perennially underrated. 27 touchdowns last year. That's the most touchdowns he's had since 2016. So that's a pretty good year for your boy out there in Oakland, but I should say in Las Vegas. But doesn't seem like he ever really gets the proper respect. We know what that's like. Chad Pennington wasn't the most respected player either, Mike, but got to the playoffs a lot. Finished his career 20th. As currently, I should say, when he finished his career, he was 11th. Now he's the 20th highest ranked quarterback ranking in the league in history for Chad Pennington. So kind of lost in the mix. I'm not saying he's the 20th best quarterback, but I don't think people would think that. And I bet you Derek Carr, man, if you look at his QB rating over his career, it's about a 92, man. That's pretty solid. You know, you get to 90 to 100 range there, you're a pretty decent player. And that's with, I'm not saying they always had the greatest talent around him out there in Oakland either. So, I mean, that's tough. It's a tough job, man. Tough job being an NFL quarterback. You know,
now that we're on quarterbacks, I got to ask Keith, because he had him in fantasy forever. What do you take from Green Bay right now? What do you think was going on?
That's that very interesting situation. I think we've seen it forever with his career, but over the past 2 or 3 years, especially, Rodgers feels underappreciated. You could tell it, right? His tweets, his mannerisms, the things he says. He seems like he wants more love from Green Bay. I think there's no way. You even threatened. You saw some things online today. Maybe he'll retire and just host Jeopardy. It's like, all right, relax. Aaron Rodgers just had his best season in forever. He just killed it last year. Was as efficient as humanly possible. Doesn't throw any interceptions. He's still playing at the top of his game. I just think for whatever reason, when they don't draft wide receivers for him, which I don't understand how they've gone this many drafts and haven't, and a top level weapon, they basically think Aaron Rodgers is good enough to overcome whoever we have out there in the wide receiver slots. Devontae Adams is really, really good, but they don't have a real number 2 that's dependable. He just makes it happen no matter what, Rodgers. For the past 10 years, they've had a laundry list of different wide receivers, always good players. So I think he's like, look, I'm getting towards he's closer to the finish of his career than the start, right? So at that point of your career, like, I'm still good, but how about some help? You know, how about a little help? You know, how about you get some skill position players? And they've done that for a long time. I don't know what the most recent beef is. I know he was upset last year. They took a quarterback. They don't contact him. They move up to get the quarterback. They don't say anything to him. I could see how that would upset someone of his stature, because I don't think that most teams who have a Brady, who have a Rodgers, who have a quarterback at that level, who's won a Super Bowl, who means everything to the town of Green Bay, just don't say nothing and draft a quarterback. I could see how that would bother him. And I think a lot of that, Dan, from last year is still in play.
But that's why, I tell me where I'm wrong here. I just feel like it's nozzle, like you guys say, because
D-nozzle.
Because that happened last year. You went on and won the MVP. Why are you making a stink of it now? Or do you want to be in the news or something? Like, this happened last year. If he did it last year, I understand. Okay. And it's still, I mean, it is what it is. It's a business. But you went an entire year and then you won the freaking MVP. And now you're like, I'm not going to play for you guys anymore. What kind of?
Packers just took a cornerback.
Who they?
No,
they
Myers, Josh Myers.
The center.
Another one.
Center.
Oh, they took a corner in the first round.
Sorry. Center. I misread it.
All right.
Now let me ask you this question though, with Aaron Rodgers. How much of this, or if any of it, do you think connects to how Aaron Rodgers came into the league, where Brett Favre was the incumbent who's won the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden he's his replacement being drafted? Do you think some of it's like Aaron Rodgers, like, listen, I didn't tell you I was leaving. You know, I plan on staying here. And also, too, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't like Aaron Rodgers not have good relationships with like his whole family? Like, it
seems like that's a good point, and that's weird when you hear that someone has no relationship with their family. Maybe he has the worst family in the history of mankind. I don't know, but it seems like he does rub a lot of people the wrong way, and there has been problems there. There's been a lot of smoke there, Tom Terrific, for a while. But last year he threw 48 touchdowns. It's like,
yes,
what? That's like retarded. Like, oh, I can't say that. Excuse me. That's not retarded. Let me take that back. That's just like so otherworldly level stats to just now this year be like, and especially it came out the day of the draft. I want to be moved. So Green Bay, they're not going to trade Aaron Rodgers in 10 hours. You know, they're not going to, you don't take a player of that caliber and say, oh, we got 10 hours before the draft. Let's figure this out. That's months and months of talking to every single team that has an opportunity to get him and getting every single last piece of value if they were to deal him. That's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But his whole situation there has always been weird. He's always felt, I think, to a degree underappreciated there. When Mike McCarthy was there, I remember hearing how they never consulted with him on personnel moves, and that bothered him. And the same thing's happening now, you know, and maybe he just feels like, what the hell? Like maybe he feels like the Packers think the number one winning percentage of all time, one of the greatest franchises of all time. Maybe they think they're above that, but I don't know, man. Obviously he's a very sensitive cat.
Has Creed Humphreys been drafted yet?
I don't think so, but you know what I did see, Mike? I saw the Bills. We know they took your boy Rousseau from Miami the first round.
Yeah.
They took Basham in the second round. They drafted 2 monster defensive ends. Not the biggest fan of that because Basham production in the last 19 games in college at Wake Forest, he had 15 sacks, which I mentioned at the top of the show here.
I thought someone we knew said that Creed Humphreys was like the best center in the draft.
We did hear that. We thought he might. People did say he should go in the first round or would go in the first round. Even maybe the Jets should take him in the first round. But I thought Humphrey's good too. We know Dickerson did get snagged, right? He got snagged.
Yeah,
by someone?
he got snagged by the Eagles.
Okay, yeah. And I think someone's going to get a good player when they do get Humphrey. But sometimes those centers, man, you see them go second, third, offensive line, inexact science. But you hope you land a great one.
Creed
Humphreys. Chiefs said I'm talking about Chiefs just got him.
Chiefs, right? Exactly. And it's funny because. Creed Humphrey's a guy. I saw some mocks that had Dickerson or him going to the Chiefs in the first round. Obviously, they need offensive line help. We saw what happened last year in the Super Bowl. Where they just said they have a good starting offensive line, no depth at all though for the Chiefs. Yeah. Where are we at here? What pick are we at, Mike? Because
we're about to enter the third round.
65 coming up. Oh, 64. Yeah.
Oh, we're. I can't believe we've been rocking out this long, Mike. 2.5 hours of AEGB live to the masses here.
Team that could go.
Thanks for having me on.
You out of here, Tom Terrific?
Yes,
brother.
thanks for having me on. Good luck.
Thank you for joining us, man. I appreciate it, brother.
No problem. Take care, guys.
All right, cool. All right, as we're winding down here, guys. I mean, we don't have to go for that much longer, Mike.
No,
we can tap out. We've a lot of information's been given out. The Jets haven't made a trade. They didn't move up. Nothing exciting's happened. We were hoping maybe they'd snag a third
and
round
it looks like that they just held their press conference. So if that happened, they're not on the phones. You know what I'm saying? So
Creed Humphrey looks like the way you would think somebody named Creed Humphrey would look.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like I just saw him. And I know what he looked like.
Better than that.
I know what he looks like in pads. But if you told me like I'm gonna go, my boy Creed's coming up from Alabama to hang out.
Andy Katzenmoyer.
That's the guy.
None of you guys know what Andy Katzenmoyer looked like before I said Andy Katzenmoyer, and now you know in your mind what Andy Katzenmoyer looks like.
So before you leave, he left. Tom Terrific left. Okay.
He's out
he almost looks like Tomasulo.
He did a little bit.
He did. Yeah, he had kind of that
got that underwater basket.
That kind of like fat athletic
under his
look.
belt.
Like, fat athletes always have that look.
Yeah.
And Jay,
Bryce
to his credit,
Pop.
Jay, great baseball player, tremendous athlete, but a little rotund. So I mean, that's what it is. You know how it is, guys. Creed Humphrey has the same issue going on, but didn't stop Jay. Tremendous shortstop.
No.
You come to play you play him to play Lakeland. You're like, oh, there's the catcher, of course, right?
Like
not the catcher. Fat kid shortstop, curveball. High school guys. You didn't see that coming. Dan knows it's true.
So before we exit, let's just go around the table and talk about what players are still available and what players you'd like to get in the next couple of rounds for the Raiders, for the Jets, and then for the Giants. So, Dan, who are you looking at? And it's good for us to hear like some players that that you're interested in.
Just defense. I really give me secondary, give me linebackers. The kid from Notre Dame, I'm really upset went.
I know.
Especially to Cleveland, because I feel like Cleveland's building something there and quietly building something there that is a solid team. And it's weird to say that about the Cleveland Browns, but I'm just looking for, if it says linebacker next to it or it says cornerback next to it. I don't want to see wide receiver this year. I want to see, you know what, you picked Ruggs last year in the first round. give him a chance to be the one. You know what I mean? Give him the chance. So let's build the defense. Let's try and stop Mahomes maybe once or twice. You got Herbert there, so we're gonna have to stop him once or twice. Give me some secondary. Give me a linebacker. I think with Yannick and Crosby, I think we're okay on the D line. But anything on defensive secondary, I'm in.
All right. What about you, Nick?
I mean, come on. They better do something. They better do something coming up. They got Aziz. They got Aziz. I like Aziz. I like the pick. They've got a couple more going on.
Guys, this is Wookiee's tall boy, 10 tall boys deep breakdown, just so you guys know of this.
Right.
That's why it's so good. Not 10, I'm just kidding. At least 4.
I'm still hung up on the trade. From yesterday.
They better do something.
They absolutely better do something.
Well, I'll put you this way, Keith. I would just like a little bit of more cornerback help. I know we should probably stay offense. I understand. I just want a little bit of cornerback seedling droppings. What I do want, 100%, and I think you'll agree with me, I want a kicker in the 6th round. I want a kicker. We have to give me Jose, give me McPherson, give me a kicker in the we need a kicker, dude. I'm tired of scourging Los Huevos for kickers. We need a kicker.
True, man.
Draft a kicker, and that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's I'm cornerback help, and then let me be honest. Okay, maybe we go weak side linebacker because we know that it's a hole there. Maybe we take a swing at another edge,
or even Mike. They have Mosley, but then who else do we have an inside linebacker?
That's a great point.
Cashman's always hurt. And like I was gonna say, going to if you want to know who I think that maybe could be realistic, Jabril Cox is still out there, inside linebacker. He's really, really good.
Son.
You have Chaz Surratt, inside linebacker, North Carolina, really good player. I think Elijah Molden and your boy, who you mentioned before, Robinson, are 2 good corners that are still out there. I love for us to try to grab a corner if we could. And the boy Melon Fonwu, I'm probably saying his name wrong, guys. Don't judge me. I'm trying my best, all right? I'm trying to sign it out. But Syracuse, 6'3", 213. You look at what some scouts say about him. That's a guy that they could be a number 1. So we'll see what ends up working out with that, guys. And there's a couple of receivers that are still out there. We don't really need to go receiver.
Dynami Brown, that dude from North Carolina, Dynami Brown. Like I've seen him way up on the boards. There's a lot of it. So he's somebody that maybe you get
also, Mike, one thing I'll throw at you too is when it comes to the offensive line, is it seems like because of his injury that your boy Wyatt Davis has been dropping here in the draft because he hurt himself at the end of the year there. So that might be another guy. I know I'm not saying that's 100% they go there, but Trey Smith, Wyatt Davis, you got what's the guy from Wisconsin, weird ass Wisconsin Whitewater, some bizarre name, Quay Maynard or something. I know he was ranked really high too. So I mean, hey, if they want to just continue this offensive flood, grab another offensive lineman, Mike.
What about a Trey Sermon in the 3rd round? What about a running back from Ohio?
Carter, Michael Carter?
Yeah, but you could even get Trey Sermon or Carter. I mean, you guys need a running back, don't you?
Oh, and Trey Sermon. I mean, I had Trey Sermon as the thing with Trey Sermon is like you look at his career, and it's such a weird career because I think it was Oklahoma State he started at. I could be wrong with that, but he started his career. He wasn't at Ohio State, was decent. Then last year he had some games that you're just like, this is insane what this kid's doing. So I had him as one of my top 5 running backs in the draft. Sermon makes sense. Carter makes sense. Gainwell, Mike, I love him from Memphis. Didn't play last year because he had a whole bunch of people in his family got COVID and passed away, so he chose to not play last year. Another guy, he's a game breaker speed. Smaller running back. Stevenson from Oklahoma is pretty good too. So we'll see. The Jets have enough holes on their team that there's a variety of ways they could go. It seems like the offensive line, they went ahead and grabbed a beast, Mike. But who knows here, dude? We got a receiver. We got an offensive line. We got our quarterback. Do they go defense with that 4th pick, or do we just keep the flood going here on offense, Mike? I don't care if they draft offense for the next 3 picks.
Son, the Buccaneers took Kyle Trask, quarterback.
Whoa!
Just said that they can use.
Oh! Now that's
Buccaneers take
makes
Kyle Trask.
That's huge. That makes and that's a great pick, man. That's a great pick.
Dan, that's a SCFL implicator 2nd round SCFL pick right there. Right? right?
Interesting. So we know Tom Brady's trying to rock out for a couple more years. You got the
Yes.
At some point, Father Time has to catch up with him, just like everybody else.
Yes.
And they're gonna have Trash waiting the wings. And that's tremendous. That's tremendous.
Woo.
All right, Mike. I think we're good, dude. I think we're good here, man. I want to thank Dan. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Really appreciate it. Wookie, as always, like I say every single week, the show is on your back because you're carrying it, bro. Okay?
No.
That's all you do. You carry the show every week.
Never.
Oh,
What's
at
up,
all
Mike?
times, Wookie. At all times, Wookie. So yeah, Mike, if anyone does want to, do you have our social media stuff in front of you? Are you prepared for that? If I throw to you? I don't want to trip you up here.
Throw it to me.
Okay. Mike, if anyone does want to get at us, support us, be involved in the AEBG universe in any way, shape, or form, how could they do that?
Well, we're on the Elite Sports Radio Network. You could find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker.com. Please follow us on Facebook at AEBG.JetsRadio, on Twitter at AEBG_NYJ Podcast, and on Instagram at jet.aebg.
You heard the man. On behalf of the biggest Jet fan in the state of Texas, on behalf of the big sicky Wookie Nick Kronk, on behalf of Dwayne Aquart coming at us from Jamaica, Tom Terrific coming at us from Fishkill, New York, Dan Scampoli. I won't give his location out. I know he doesn't want anyone to know it. Okay, I won't put his geographic location out there. Who am I forgetting? Mike Milano jumped on. Chris Fox jumped on.
Chris Fox.
Chris Schleich jumped on. Okay, all those tremendous football fans, thank you all very much. We'll get at you next week, everybody.